Happy New Year, comic book fans, and welcome to a special live edition of our year-end wrap-up where we talk about the best. We're going to be very positive on this episode. The very best in comics of 2024.
We're going to try.
We're going to try.
I feel like...
I deliberately left off books where I was like, that was not great, or that disappointed me, or thank God that's over. I have one book like that, and I think we all know what that is. And so we'll get into that later on. But
Okay.
I want to reserve that. If people really respond to this one, maybe we could do a compliment series where we can be like, here were the dregs of 2024. But I don't think anybody wants to sit here and just listen to everyone whinge about comics that didn't make them satisfied. You have every episode of Off the Rack for that, folks, which you can enjoy every Monday night between 6:30 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But today is a very special episode because we already did Off the Rack. So you may be a new viewer. And if you are, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications so you know when we go live. This is a rare case where we have two episodes in one. Two episodes in 1 week, I should say. But we did Off the Rack. This is our just dedicated to talking about the best comics of 2024.
That is correct.
Books that really just stood out to us and that we have like just affinity for, and we were really excited to talk about.
Yeah.
So how shall we proceed?
Yo, I don't know. I've like never done one of these.
We've really never done this. I usually do these on like Elseworlds Exchange, but on this one I wanted to kind of just make it because you did.
Let's be honest.
You pitched this show.
I was like, let's do this.
You pitched this particular special.
Yeah.
And so and we're gonna keep it positive. We're gonna keep it friendly and
I
and
didn't
good.
do like a top whatever list.
Me
I
either.
just like went through every week of comics and pulled out the books that like I was excited about, and I put them in chronological order, which is like, why would I do that? But that's what I chose to do.
Interesting. Yeah. I did not go with any rhyme or reason. So there was no order for me when it came to books that stood out to me. But I do have a little bit of information regarding comics, some things that happened in 2024, not seminal moments, but rather just books that might not end up on our lists because they weren't like debuting in this year.
Oh, I have stuff like that too.
You have stuff like that too? Oh, great.
You should see some of the breakdowns I did.
Well, why don't you start with your breakdowns? Why don't you start with like the a good intro breakdown, something that like really.
I wanted to chat a little bit about the world of X-Men.
Not
a lot of X-Men like made it on my list necessarily. But I was like, you know what? Let's just kind of talk about X-Men as a whole as we entered into 2024, because I realized as you're entering 2024, Fall of X was already happening.
Yes.
2023, like, had already pushed Fall of X.
Fall of X debuted in 2024.
No, the book did, but the era of like the end of X-Men had been going on since 2023. We had been watching, knowing the end was coming. But Fall of X and Rise of Power of 10 debuted both in January of 2024.
Yep.
And that was kind of the beginning of the end. Fall of X, written by Jerry Duggan with art by Luca Wernick. Was its paired with its sister series Rise of Power of 10 by Kieran Gillen and Luciano Vecchio, in order to like kind of create this like poetic ending, right? Where it was like when we launched, we had House of X and Powers of 10, and now we had the fall of House of X and the rise of Powers of 10.
Yes.
Right. Between those two, I know I personally was much more in love with Rise of the Powers of 10 than I was with Fall of House of X. In fact, I feel like a lot of folks kind of turned on Jerry Duggan towards the end of X-Men.
Big time.
And they felt as though maybe there were some stronger writers who maybe should have been at the helm.
I agree with that. Though I don't think they would agree that they were the writers you would have picked. I don't think that anyone was disappointed with the British invasion of Krakoa.
No.
But I also think that while people were complaining about Jerry Duggan's kind of like taking of the reins, driving the line, so to speak, I think they were just like, no, I wanted Hickman to come back.
Oh, of
no
course.
one was like, oh, I would rather have...
you can't say no one, because I
you
saw several
were like
comments that were like, you had Ewing, Gillen, and Spurrier and the X office at that time. Why did Duggan get
And they were coordinating. Like those three were working together. It's like, well, how about if you really don't want to freeze anyone out, just have those three be in charge, since they're already driving the line quietly under the radar of Duggan's kind of like reign.
Right. And of course, along with these two books, X-Men, of course, was still running. Duggan taking the helm there, art by Noto this time around. And like 2024 just saw literally for that, the end of Krakoa's X-Men. It was issues 30 through 35. 35 had that killer cover where it was the wraparound of like all the X characters kind of wheeling Professor X on out. Like we're like, okay, bye, goodbye.
Yes.
And I'm not going to mention every title that was coming out during this time period. I just wanted to hit a couple of the bigger
heights.
ones for me. Some of them are the heights, some of them aren't. Like I put Dead X-Men on here because like that was the point for me where I was just like, ooh, this is not
so
for
we're
me.
not there.
Like, not for me. Resurrection of Magneto, obviously very important. Kind of rounding out that story with Magneto. We didn't want to leave him dead. We got to bring him back, especially with
the new era coming,
and this desire to put the toys back in the box.
Yes.
And of course, during this time, X-Men Forever comes out, another Kieran Gillen book. Love the story. Deals with the Phoenix. Sets everything up for that. And of course, Wolverine.
Yes, Sabretooth War.
Ooh. You know, does its thing, and I don't know how you feel about it. For me, I was like, okay, I mean, there's a commitment here. There's a commitment here. And it was a very large commitment. This went on for quite a while.
Yeah, it was just it started, I think, before issue 50, but ended with issue 50, and it was just like there was a desire to hit that number.
Yes, we're gonna hit that number. So there was a lot going on with that. Some folks like this is what they had wanted to see. Obviously, this is a collaboration between Ben Percy and Victor Lavelle.
Yes.
And you can feel the collaboration in it. And I don't mean that in a bad way, regardless of how I feel about this series and how much like it was like supposed to be like, ooh, like grimdark kind of thing, like ultra violent.
Yes.
Like I knew that going into it. Everyone should have known that going into this book that was the desire. And that's not always my big thing. Sometimes I'm like, hyper violence, yay! It's like fun in video games sometimes in some movies, but like I'm not always looking for that, but I was like committed to wanting to read this. But I already knew going in, so that really didn't affect me. But yeah, like this for a lot of folks, like at least you could feel the collaboration between the two of them.
Yeah,
it wasn't just Percy's story, it wasn't just Lavelle's story. It was like
it was their story
coming together. But for me, it kind of went on a little long. But yeah, like around March, we see X-Men 97 launch. Of course, that is in conjunction with a certain animated series that was returning. And then by July, like 10, X-Men relaunches with Jed McKay and Ryan Stegman behind the wheel.
Right.
In between the Fall of X and Rise of Powers of 10, which both ended in May. So we have like June. What's going on? Blood Hunt is going on.
Blood Hunt.
And so like some of Krakoa's like X books kind of like dovetail a little bit into Blood Hunt as like this like pseudo palette cleanser. And then, hey, there we are, new X-Men.
Right.
Ton of books to come out of there. I'm not gonna go into detail about those because honestly, I haven't really kept up with them. Like,
no,
for me, and this is not having anything to do with their quality or the skill of the creative teams behind it. For me, it was an opportunity for me to go like, I really had fun with this, but like I need to like free up some reading time for some other things, and that was really what it was for me.
Yeah.
I've kept up obviously with a couple. I was reading Dazzler as that was coming out this year.
Yeah, you finished that whole series.
I did it. I mean, it was only 4 issues.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, like that was Jason Liu on that, and yeah, it was a fun book. Didn't love the ending of it. Didn't really feel like it stuck the landing for me, but overall good. But like X-Men 2024 changed pretty significantly.
Yes. Yes. Compared to 2023, X-Men became a completely different animal. And I want to just say, I think it has a lot to do with the invasion of X-Men 97.
Oh, for sure.
I think that X-Men 97, the animated series that debuted on Disney Plus, was such a massive wrecking ball. It drove so much of the brand for Marvel and made Marvel kind of like pay attention to this little line that could, like it went from being kind of almost a like an art house specialty group where Hickman shepherded the line and made it this different thing to being a Marvel brand again. And I'm not saying that X-Men never was or suddenly wasn't during Krakoa, but I am saying that like Krakoa had a completely different approach than any other Marvel book at the time. And after the meteoric success of X-Men 97, and by the way, they were clearly planning on this being a success, whether this show had been beloved or not. Thankfully, it also was really, really good and really fun to watch. But, the action figures, the toy lines, everything that was branded outside of the comics for X-Men was X-Men 97.
Yeah.
And I think that you'd have to be dreaming if you thought that the comics would not be affected by the X-Men 97 influence.
Oh, sure.
Especially if, like, I don't know, they were changing the creative teams and going in another direction, getting a new editor for the series that would be more in line with maybe an era from 30 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I also want to talk getting away from X-Men.
Yes.
Because it's like, again, it's a massive shift, but I didn't want to make this like the X, like
the X hour.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, it's just a massive shift that we saw happen in 2024. Much like when Krakoa launched, you know, a massive shift and yet another massive shift.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to chat about a couple of books that ended. I'm sure you have a few of those.
I do.
Too.
I have a nice little list as well, but I'm looking forward to that.
Things that did not start in 2024, but maybe had, you know, several issues or at least came to a close.
Yep.
Among those, Gods.
Okay.
Jonathan Hickman, Valerio Schiti. We had issues 4 through 8, so for me, that was most of it was in 2024.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's chat about that.
Yeah, Gods was another book, a Hickman book. Hickman was really prolific and busy.
Yes.
During 2024,
his you know, leaving of
X-Men
and being like, all right, now what am I gonna do?
Now what am I gonna do?
Gods. I'm gonna do this little story that like clearly is supposed to be like
a Doctor Strange soft reboot,
but like let's do like a Doctor Strangey and Constantine hybrid-y character and do this wild stuff. And I'll be honest with you, read this whole thing. I'm not 100%. I fully understand everything that happened in it.
But you loved it.
I loved it. I like that type of thing. That is definitely up my alley. Where I'm just like, hey, you know what? That's fine. Like as you reread it or as you talk with others about it, maybe you unravel the mysteries behind it. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I wish that Gods had made it.
I wish it had made a bigger splash.
Yeah, because I feel like this book could easily be a hidden gem. I mean, it is a hidden gem because, you know, people didn't pick up the gem when it was available for sale at a cheaper price. But I also feel like if it is ever rediscovered by another creator, it will never be as interesting or exciting because it won't be like Hickman rediscovers his own thing. It'll be somebody else going like, I love Gods. Let me see if I can do something with that. And it's like, okay, cool. But like, wouldn't it have been more fun if Gods had just continued?
Yeah, I feel like too what maybe might have hurt it is its original like arrival where it's like Gods and we didn't know anything about it. It's just Gods, Gods. I think folk thought cosmic. I think they thought more of that route.
Like New Gods.
Yeah. But
even
like,
though it's DC.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like just like the cosmology of Marvel instead of where we went.
Magic is a tough bet.
It's a tough bet, but if sold correctly, I think it's a better bet because then you don't have a disappointed audience going like, well, this is garbage because it's not the thing I thought it was.
And that's really what it is. And that's like a major problem that we have in the industry, especially from the fandom side of the industry, is just rejecting it out of hand and not just saying, I am rejecting it. Like I'm very quick to now say things like, I do not accept this because I'm not interested. But I don't say it's bad or it sucks because I'm not interested. Like, how dare you? Like, what an egocentric concept. But similarly, when it came to like books that were canceled or ended, I also have a little like books that ended that time. We have a friend / member of the channel, Joshua Williamson, writer of Dark Crisis, who was incredibly prolific during this period, and he wrapped up a ton of work during that period. He had an independent series called Dark Ride, which if you love theme parks and concepts like that, Dark Ride ended. He dropped off of Green Arrow, which didn't end, but his run ended. His Batman and Robin series wrapped up. The series continued, but his run on it dropped as well. So he stopped doing that one and it's like just really allowed him to focus on the other stuff, you know, like Cobra. Well, this year Cobra Commander came out, which he wrote. Duke came out, which he wrote, and G.I. Joe came out, which he wrote. And so the G.I. Joe Energon universe corner of Williamson's brain is just getting all the synapses. But yeah, he also stayed at DC a little bit to focus entirely on Superman, which was to his benefit because he managed to poach Dan Mora over to the Superman title. But that's not to be outdone because Superman also was a really, really fun, consistent title, which enjoyed an event called House of Brainiac, which I found to be entertaining, if not the best DC event of the year. Certainly it was not. It was a good Superman event. You know, I have a different barometer for Superman events versus any other event. A Batman event needs to be a particular shade, whereas Superman, it's like as long as it hits the heights and it manages to focus on a villain that you don't get to see very often, or if you do see him very often, they better be interesting. You know, the House of Brainiac, I dug it, and it managed to do a lot of crowd-pleasing moments, reintroducing Lobo, allowing Lobo's Zarnian brethren to return, introducing a female Brainiac who was in an event that I champion might be one of the best events of the year, and so forth. So definitely, like, props to Josh for knowing when it's time to kind of like wrap things up, but
Sure.
also allowing that energy to be refocused instead of just, expelled into the into the universe.
Sure.
But yeah, just a great series. A lot of books also ended, Krakoa notwithstanding. Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski's Captain America series ended. The Zur-Anar story arc for Batman ended. I know. Birds of Prey continued. Didn't end, didn't start, but still reigned supreme. Flew high. Great series from Kelly Thompson. And I'm happy to see that while it managed to survive at least 2 years, it means the book is selling well enough to continue. Penguin, a book that I said there was no need for this series to exist from Tom King, ended as well, and triumphantly. Started strong, ended strong. Fantastic book, and bolstered by a phenomenally received show by the same name as well. Penguin, helped to kind of like, it's not fair to say legitimize, but at least prop up the comic book media landscape, the adaptations and movies and TV shows and stuff like that. For every What If season you get, and by the way, the What If show ended as well in 2024. Penguin helped people go like, I guess I don't hate everything. Although I saw an interesting analysis of shows like Penguin and the Dune show on Max, and how they kind of are emblematic of the enshittification of media. Like, they're not good shows. They're more like they're more like they ape off of a good show and they just put a kind of like veneer over it. Like, people love Penguin and they say it's like The Sopranos, and it's like, Sopranos was a good show. Is Penguin just a derivative of The Sopranos with a penguin coat of paint over it? Is the Dune show just Game of Thrones but with some Dune crap on it?
Are you saying we can only sample from here on out?
It feels like we are in the Dua Lipa era of our media at this point. But yeah, but the Penguin book, phenomenal, and allowed for an interesting retcon, because King is in his retcon era where he's like, here's something new you didn't know about for your favorite character. But managed to work really well, surprised me, and I love that. Superman Lost from Chris Priest, people loved that series. It ended in 2024. Forgivably, Zeb Wells' Spider-Man run ended in 2024.
We're not getting into it.
I'm not going to. A little book called Kill Your Darlings, which was up for an Eisner and was created by friends of the show. The Supple Boys from Stegman's podcast. Kill Your Darlings ended. Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing ended. Tom King's Animal Pound started in 2023, ended, and continued. Really, issue 2 debuted in 2024. So like the majority of the book was 2024.
Yeah.
But Animal Pound ended and was great. The She-Hulk era, which I have to assume only existed because there was a show. But I'm so thrilled we got any measure of She-Hulk, also ended, which I really enjoyed. I loved the She-Hulk book, certainly more so than the show. Superior Spider-Man from Dan Slott. That like third bite of the apple for Superior Spider-Man also ended, which was at that time a better Peter Parker Spider-Man book than the Amazing Spider-Man series itself, but still managed to not be Superior Spider-Man. Congratulations on that one. Public Domain from Chip Zdarsky also ended.
Oh, wow.
Just a month ago in November, and continued to be a phenomenal book that I'm convinced only 4 or 5 people read. But I implore you folks, pick up Public Domain. It is in volumes now. It's a beautifully collected series. Or you could join Chip Zdarsky's Substack, where you can read the whole book for the price of the Substack subscription. Beautiful series. Ram V's Detective Comics run also ended, and with it, those amazing covers.
Oh, sure.
Which I was like, please don't end that
cover scheme.
That cover scheme. They did.
Oh, okay. I have some other books that
also ended.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Yes. Before you move on to something else.
No, I'm not. I was just wrapping up my.
Doctor Strange came to an end in 2020.
Yes, it did.
We ran issues 11 through 18. Jed MacKay, Pascal Ferry on art. Jed MacKay, obviously a big fan of certain corners of the Marvel universe. Doctor Strange being one of them, but maybe not as strong as Moon Knight, right?
Yeah.
And so, with this, Doc he died, he'd come back. He was
replaced.
He'd been battled. He battled like other him. And we kind of,
right.
And we kind of were dealing with, Clea and the sister, the new baby sister, and just a couple of other adventures. And then Strange, of course, losing his mantle. during 2024.
Yeah.
And just now being just Doctor Strange.
Just Doctor Strange. Still Doctor.
Just still Doctor. He's still a doctor.
Yeah. And he still knows his sorcery, so he could still be
he's
useful
just
and
Doctor
fun.
Strange sorcerer, period.
So he's essentially like his MCU counterpart.
Yes. Which is, I wonder if that's not probably not. Anyway, but yeah, that was a fun time period. Of course, obviously we're getting another series. I had said to just let it be for a bit. Just
they couldn't.
Instead of doing a series, do like books, do like Fall Sunrise. Like, do something
Fall
like
Sunrise,
that.
yeah.
Do just like, here's a full story.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a mini series, it could be an OGN. But we're not doing that.
Why would we do that?
I also wanted to give a shout out to Hexon Bridge, written by Richard Blake, also drawn by Richard Blake.
Yes.
That one, for a lot of people that didn't necessarily love the like story in there or the ending, I liked it. It's pretty open-ended. For me, it was all about the art, and that Richard Blake's art is gorgeous. It's just soft and beautiful.
And the way it was printed too.
I really liked it. A lot of people did not like that print job. They didn't like the space. I liked the story, like, style book of it.
Yeah,
that was really well done. I loved the like science-y illustration sort of look to the title and the book itself.
Yeah.
But the art is just honestly incredible. You don't see a ton of art like this typically in Western comics.
No. You don't see it in really Eastern comics either, but like it's still gorgeous.
I should say like American. Like you'll see a lot of like in European.
You certainly won't see it in like the big two.
Often. And then of course Dark Spaces Dungeon, written by Scott Snyder with art by Hayden Sherman, whose their name is now all over the place.
Yes,
both of them, like, but Hayden Sherman's name now attached, of course, to Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman. But Dark Spaces Dungeon is where I first saw their art, and honestly, folks who enjoyed Snyder's Witches because it was dark.
Yes.
This is darker in a different way.
Somehow darker.
So the end of this is like
some of the bleakest Scott Snyder stuff you'll ever see.
Quite bleak, this story. So if that's the kind of Snyder you like and you slept on this one, you should definitely go back and pick up IDW's Dark Spaces Dungeon.
Yeah.
Great book.
DC owes Scott Snyder at least a big dinner, not just because of the work that he did, but they owe IDW at least a fruit basket, because
do you see mock on there? That's like, I wonder if it's a reference to John.
It could be.
Well, anyway, yeah.
But they owe IDW at least a fruit basket, because without Dark Spaces Dungeon, you don't get Hayden Sherman on Absolute Wonder Woman, because Scott wouldn't have known about Hayden Sherman. Now, that being said, Scott and Hayden worked together on a previous Dark Spaces book as well, but Dungeon is the one where it's like, whoa.
Yeah, this one was it for me, for sure. But yeah, loved this book.
Yep.
Yes, that was just another one that ended for me that I wanted to make note of.
Absolutely.
And then I had a couple of ongoings before we get into like maybe some like number ones that debuted this year, plus some events that went on.
Well, let me wait before you do. There's one more thing I wanted to mention about like books that ended /
it is
didn't
Mac,
end.
not Mock.
But yeah, it's Mac or whatever.
I can't help. I think, listen, for some reason, I know some people see Scott Snyder and immediately think of Greg Capullo.
Of course.
I think of Jock.
Of course. Yeah, and I don't blame you.
Scott Snyder and Jock, they go together.
Yeah.
They're buddies.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's like saying, I remember that Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon show from the 90s. And it's like, oh, do you mean that terrible one that was made by someone who hated cartoons? Yes. No, do you mean that awesome interconnected continuity one about like the serious canon of Sonic? Yes. You're both right. And it's just a matter of what time you woke up in the morning that you have your frame of reference point. But speaking of books that either ended or didn't end, Batman Off-World from Jason Aaron is now entering its 3rd year in the 6-issue miniseries that that isn't in current continuity, and should promise to end its 6th issue this April in 2025. So I'm just baffled. I mean, like, it's a great book. I loved Batman Off-World, but oh my god. And it's one of those books where I don't think, unlike books like Watchmen, where it's like no one remembers that book was heavily delayed while it was coming out. I don't think that people are going to be like, oh my god, people just ubiquitously think of and refer to Batman Off-World, and no one remembers the fact that it took 3 years for a 6-issue miniseries about Batman to come out. But yeah, it's a good book that I really like. So, just keep an eye out for it, because the 6th issue is dropping, and then once it does, no one will be able to make fun of them for the fact that like it took them 3 years to make, because then you'll just have the trade and people won't be talking about that. So yeah. There you have it. Just wanted to mention
I thought that book had been over.
Of course,
and I missed it.
Yeah, because like it's been forever since the last issue. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, you wanted to talk about ongoings. And
I wanted to maybe do that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, we should talk about some ongoings. But do you want to talk about just books that debuted?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I've got some things that debuted. I've got some events.
Let's talk about events.
Okay. Let's talk about events. I got events and some one-shots.
Yeah.
Events and specials, I should say.
Events and specials.
Really quickly, I want to give a quick shout-out to Gargoyles Winter Special #1 by Greg Weisman, Nick Cosby, and George Cambadias.
Yes.
I really liked that book.
You did.
I really, really did. That's it. That is all. I thought that was cute and fun and awesome.
Well, congratulations to Dynamite for resurrecting the Gargoyles franchise and like getting it back out there in the world and continuing the series. Like it could have been very easy for them to get like a stunt writer to just reinvent or reimagine the Gargoyles. But no, Greg Weisman's doing the Gargoyles, continuing the series. Everything that Greg Weisman's put his name on outside of the Goliath Chronicles is technically canon for Gargoyles. This comic book is especially that. So that's really cool.
So yeah, but there was like for me 2 big events this year.
Yeah.
Right. We had Blood Hunt and we had Absolute Power.
Right.
So what I did was I went ahead and I did a little breakdown on both of those.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about like everything that happened in them. I actually wanted to kind of chat about just the events as a whole.
Yeah, as a concept.
Right? Because like without seeing what I have, which event was bigger?
Was a bigger event
in terms of amount of books involved.
Oh my god, I want to say that there were probably more Blood Hunt books than Absolute Power books.
Yeah, do you want to know how many?
Oh, I'd love to know. It's Marvel, so it's like assuming that Marvel oversaturated the market.
Would you be interested in this?
Yeah.
So Blood Hunt comes out May 1st. Main book is Jed MacKay and Pepe Larraz. 5 issues in the main book.
Okay.
They then had 6 one-shot books, which included a Jubilee, a Magic, a Psylocke, a Laura Kinney, a Werewolf by Night, and a Hulk book. They then had what I'm going to call 6.5 tie-ins, right?
Oh my god, 6.5.
Here are the tie-ins. Doctor Strange at 3 issues, Vengeance of Moon Knight at 3 issues, Miles Morales Spider-Man at 2 issues, Avengers at 3 issues, Fantastic Four at 2 issues, Venom at 2 issues, and then Amazing Spider-Man at 1 issue, issue 49.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Now of those, the ones that had 3, which are Doctor Strange, Vengeance of Moon Knight, and the Avengers, those were written by Jed MacKay.
Okay.
He made everybody else do 2, but he's like, I'll do 3 for my tie-in.
Yeah.
He then this event also has 8-ish mini series that go along with it, including Dracula at 3 issues, Black Panther at 3 issues, Blood Hunters at 4 issues, Strange Academy at 3 issues, Midnight Suns at 3 issues, Amazing Spider-Man. This is what's interesting at 3 issues. So there's a tie-in
in the main Amazing Spider-Man series.
And the main Amazing Spider-Man series, they go issue 49 is a tie-in, and then it has Amazing Spider-Man like Blood Hunt 1 through 3, basically.
Right.
After that,
that's
Union Jack coming in at 3 issues, Wolverine coming in at 4 issues. So that brings us to a total of 53 issues for Blood Hunt, not including Red Bands. I did not include Red Bands,
which are just bonus. It's just it's an alternate issue.
Or the prologue of Free Comic Book Day. With that, it would be 54.
Wow.
So then let's take a look at Absolute Power really quickly.
Sure, yeah, Absolute Power.
Or do you want to talk about Blood Hunt?
Oh, I mean, yeah, let's talk about Blood. Let's just get the Blood Hunt out of the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, okay, so Marvel's gonna Marvel. That is absolutely their like strategy, is just to flood the market with an oversaturation of books. I mean, if you're a Union Jack fan, like, congratulations on getting a 3-issue miniseries in 2024. However, I'm sure it had virtually nothing to do with like setting up where Union Jack will be in the future.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's the strategy here? Is it to just fleece the audience completely of their finances? Is it to get the word out on this awesome book? I mean, like, idealistically speaking, you're like, no. If we just put so many Blood Hunt books out there, then people will not be able to avoid it, and they will check it out, and they will be rewarded for reading such an amazing series like Blood Hunt. Or is it just like a naked abject greed? I mean, we've talked about this before over the years, the idea that like there should be like a glass ceiling for tie-ins, but 53 books for essentially what is a 6-issue miniseries, 5-issue miniseries event. I mean, come on.
So admittedly, we did say though about this event, you only had to read the main book.
Exactly,
enjoy
which
it.
is true.
You did not have to read the 6 one-shots, the 6.5 tie-ins, or the 8-ish miniseries. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
That's
just allowing you the opportunity to deepen your enjoyment of Blood Hunt.
Yeah. 100% if you wanted to. Now, for me, my tactic or my strategy for Blood Hunt was I read the main book, and then I read Doctor Strange, and I read Vengeance of Moon Knight.
You read anything that Jed MacKay wrote,
or that because I didn't read Vengeance. I read the books I was reading.
Yeah.
And I read Blood Hunt, and that was kind of it. I think I popped in on a couple of different things occasionally here and there. But a lot of it was unnecessary. It was just, here's a story.
Here's something else.
And here's something else.
Right. And Blood Hunt will allow us to do it, because otherwise we would never get a green light.
Sure. But I do appreciate MacKay being like, you can basically just read the main book.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you read everything else. I really enjoyed Blood Hunt, though.
Yeah.
I thought Pepe Larraz's art on that main title was fun. It was a supernatural event.
Yes.
I enjoy MacKay's writing. So, like, this for me was a great event.
Yeah.
Right?
I also enjoyed Blood Hunt.
I enjoyed the heck out of this more than I thought I would. There were moments in a couple of the early issues of Blood Hunt where I was just like, all right, we're kind of just doing like a phone it in. But by the end, I was like, you got me.
Yeah.
You got me.
Yeah, it was a it had the makings and the execution of like what should be a classic Marvel Comics event.
Absolutely.
Really worked well.
100%.
Every character was kind of in their zone. The story was fun. It used continuity. It relied upon and rewarded you for old school stories while also giving you something new. It delivered, and it looked good.
It strikes me as the type of event that, like, down the road, like many years down the road, like characters will randomly mention, like, "Hey, remember that one time?"
Yeah,
like,
the vampires took over. Yeah,
and it'll have like a little editor's note.
Yeah, Blood Hunt.
Yeah, go check out Blood Hunt.
Yeah,
like
check out all 587 issues of Blood Hunt. But then, not to be outdone, DC was like, "Well, wait a minute.
Hold on, we also have an event. So that was Mark Waid on the main book, and who was the artist on that?
Oh wow, I think it was all over the place, but I believe Dan Mora drew.
Yeah,
Absolute Power.
The main one.
Yeah, the main book, Absolute Power. Yes.
So let's chat a little bit about that too, in terms of the amount of issues that they had. This, of course, started with a 0 issue. They had 4 issues in the main title. Then there was the Absolute Power Task Force 7-issue series. The Absolute Power Origin series. And then they had 5 tie-ins with Green Arrow coming in at 4, Batman coming in with 3 issues, Green Lantern coming in with 3 issues, Superman coming in with 3 issues, and Wonder Woman coming in with 3 issues as well. So that takes us to 29 issues, not counting the prologue issues.
Okay.
We have to talk about the prologue issues.
Right.
Because Marvel came in at 53. But then if you added their one prologue issue on, it was 54.
Right.
Let's chat about DC's prologue issues. That includes the Suicide Squad 4 issues that came before it, the Free Comic Book Day issue that dropped, the Suicide Squad Dream Team that came in at 1 issues, Superman that came in at 1 issues, Green Arrow, which came in at 1 issue, Flash with 1, and Absolute Power Ground Zero with 1, adding another 10 issues to it. So now we come to 39 issues that you needed to kind of fill in. Because for me, this event, you needed a little backstory.
At least a little bit, although it does build off of everything that was being built towards Amanda Waller's change from New Frontier.
Yes.
And at least a little bit of the Brainiac stuff.
Yes. So they came in at 39 issues for this. And that said, I think I pretty much read this in a vacuum and I seemed fine.
Yep.
I will give GC their flowers, though, too. They put out a blog post that included an article where it was everything you needed to know before reading Absolute Power.
Oh.
And so they had and
that's on the DC official website.
That was on their official website where they're like, here's what Amanda Waller's been up to. Here's what Green Arrow's been up to.
Oh yeah, you need to
Here's what Brainiac Queen is all about. Here's some info for you. So that could have really helped you not have to worry about all that prologue stuff.
Yeah, which of course Marvel would be like, why would we do that?
Yeah,
we need you to buy
all the books.
54 books.
Buy all the books.
Yeah. We gave you one for Free Comic Book Day. You're welcome.
Yeah. Exactly.
DC did too, and yet manages to come under the line.
Still well under
29 issues.
Yes, exactly.
Oof. I mean, yeah. That sounds about right.
Right, but I mean, I really only read the
main book,
but I had you to help because you were reading the rest.
Well, because I was also reading. I was reading Green
Arrow
Arrow and
Batman.
Superman and Batman. So
and
you were
reading
Wonder Woman.
I was reading Wonder Woman. You weren't reading was Green Lantern.
Although it's funny, I did drop Wonder Woman during
that
Absolute
time,
Power because
yes.
those tie-ins were just so dreadful. But yeah, it was and again, what's funny is, so we're digging on Marvel a little bit by being like, yo, that was really greedy of you to put out that many tie-ins in the expectation of like some poor hapless, well-funded child being like, I gotta read Blood Hunt, I need all these issues. Blood Hunt was great.
Yep.
Absolute Power, not to be outdone, though still manages to keep it trim, also had a great event.
Yeah, for me, I would say, regardless of how I feel about Blood Hunt, I feel like Absolute Power was more successful because Blood Hunt had everything I was already interested in in one book.
Yeah.
Absolute Power won me over without me having like that tether of like, ooh, it's
magic.
I love this writer. Ooh, I love these characters. This book was like, here it is, and I was like glued. I had to know what was going on in Absolute Power. So I feel like Wade did such a great job of like drawing me into something that I really was on the fringes of until this event.
That's right. Yeah, that's totally fair. Because I did expect it to be at least pretty fun, but it's Wade. It's an event. I haven't read a Wade DC event in like a long time. Would this be up to snuff? Would this feel contemporary? Can Wade hack it? Because also the utilization of Wade in DC was to do essentially like a flashback, do you remember all this crap kind of book, which is also wonderful.
Yeah.
And I should, as a quick aside, point out that World's Finest was great, and continued to be great.
Yep.
And the arc they did about the rise of Magog and the the crossover with Kingdom Come was also awesome. And so congratulations to that. But also huge congrats to Wade for just writing what felt like, I mean, and I was very quick to say this, but like we basically had 2 Marvel events this year, one from Marvel and one from DC. This felt the most like you're like not your garden variety. No, you're the best kind of Marvel Comics event. Like this, the heroes were underdogs. The powers that be were regular humans. Like that for me, that screams Marvel.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh no, our antagonist is some person. In this case, it was Amanda Waller. I know classic Amanda Waller fans were unhappy with the portrayal of Waller. I think it was pretty much in keeping, especially with an in continuity.
She has been
storied history, this trajectory for a while.
And you could always say someone could retcon later on that she was under the influence
Mr.
of
Mind.
Insert anything.
Exactly. But I dug the hell out of it, and not just because it felt Marvel, but also just because it was fun.
Yeah.
And it looked great.
Yeah,
that was another huge thing.
For sure. No, Absolute Power, I think, was the event that I was surprised at.
Shocked.
I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it and how much it easily became like the event that I was like, yep.
Well, especially in the wake of DC just hammering the audience with events. You had Night Terrors, you had Beast World, you had the other one, I don't remember. Like there was a third one.
Yes.
In the same year, Lazarus Planet, I believe it was. But yeah, like after all those 3, we have Absolute Power, and it's like, oh, this was fun, and I didn't feel like, oh god, they've been through so much. No, this is a culmination of all those things, and was fun and cool. So
absolutely,
congratulations on that one.
But that, of course, ends up dovetailing into another special, the DC All In special.
Oh,
which came out in October, which I believe was the flip book.
Yes, it was the special flip book from Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson and Wes Craig and Daniel Sampere. Yeah,
just like something that could easily be seen as just like a silly sort of like cash grabby or like, lenticular cover-esque sort of like,
a gimmick.
It's a gimmick. That's the word I wanted. Thank you. I was like, I'm going to keep saying things until he comes up with the word I want.
Fair.
It could be seen definitely as a gimmick in which it's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. It flips, but turns out to be really well done, really like thought through.
Yeah, like no, it was a gimmick, but also in the best way. Like, look, comics are gimmicks. Comics play with the convention of gimmicks. There are so many hardcore comic book fans whose favorite covers are gimmicks. This one at least plays with it. Like you could tell that like there's joy involved with the creation of this book and the execution of it. And so why not have fun? Why not revel in the joy they're having while also setting up the new status quo for DC, an upcoming massive event / crossover / God knows what they're going to do with it, while also introducing you to a brand new universe. So, there was a lot of heavy lifting that All In did.
Yes.
That I think managed to do. because you didn't also just introduce you to the Absolute Universe or set up the new status quo for DC, but you also had to like set up status quos for Booster Gold, Darkseid. You're setting up New Gods. You're setting up the Justice League ID cards, and even that was a nice little collaboration between. I know he's like boo, but at least it was a fun collaboration with comic book retailers who definitely did not have fun with it, which I was really disappointed to see. Like I heard at like retailer summits, they were like, we need more like incentives and gimmies and stuff like that. And then all I heard about when it came to like the ID cards and the special, like if you buy 2 or 3 DC books of any type, you get access to the card. I heard so many stories, at least 4 or 5 different comic book stores from around the country, not from just the Eastern Seaboard, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Where it was like, oh, they were in a pile somewhere and they're like, take as many as you want. Or it was just, if you bought anything, you got a card. Or in my case, the cards were just on a stack on the desk, like on the counter. And I finished my purchase. And then I said, hey, what about the ID cards? And they said, oh, just take one. It was just not.
That's weird.
Not as embraced as I would have hoped, especially hearing that the retailers who went to the summit were asking for things like this.
Sure.
But yeah, I was really impressed with how it turned out, and it was a good looking book. I mean, I'd put Wes Craig on my radar where I was like, ooh, Wes Craig nailed it. This is a good looking book.
I want to say a huge shout out to like the creative teams and also the layout folks.
Oh my god!
To get some of those panels to work where like they mimicked one another.
Yeah, where things bled behind the pages of one and came out of the comic on the other side.
Right. Where it's like, the 5th page, this panel, like you're going to see it on the other side too, like a different reaction to it. That takes a lot to do that type of thing. I'm sure that was not easy.
Yeah.
But it really worked. If you can get it to work, it's worth doing. 100%.
Yeah. I can tell you that I know that it took a lot and I know it was hard.
Yeah, I have no doubt, but I just know it was noted. And that's the type of thing that like takes a book and elevates it.
Yeah. Brings it up to that next level. Yeah. I
100%.
agree. Absolutely. So as far as that goes, you want to talk about just #1 debuts, books that came out?
New comic series / runs that started. I also I did like a / runs thing as well. I'm sure you did too. I think I didn't mind chronologically.
Sure.
And I think you did too.
Kind of.
I mean, obviously, I think I know where January's beginning for you. So feel free.
Oh, I don't know. I don't really. I mean, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, it comes out January 10th in January. Of this year. So like that was absolutely incredible. Getting a book that was coming out monthly that reflected the month it was coming out in terms of like the holidays or the seasons. If you're from the Northeast,
yes,
your seasons would be that,
right?
If you were in the Southern Hemisphere, but not so much. But they are in New York, so it makes sense.
Exactly.
But yeah, like what a great start to the year. Really set the tone, I feel like.
I think so. It definitely set the bar. People were like really, really hyped on this book and its debut and like the creative team, obviously.
100%.
And it was just fun to see the excitement and the enthusiasm and the like hype and discussions about it over the year.
Yeah.
And how, part of it was part of my enjoyment, not just the fact that it was great and that it was like a good read, and that even when Chichetto couldn't be there,
which felt like often, but
yes, it did.
I actually didn't do any research on that. It just felt often, but when he was there, it hit hard.
Absolutely. Yeah, Chichetto used his time off wisely and came back strong every time. I wasn't not a fan. I don't want to use double negatives, but I also don't want to oversell it. Like I wasn't thrilled with the new artists that filled in, but I also did think that they fit the tone well and that they did the job. But that's I feel like if you're going to put out 53 tie-ins for one event per year, you should like pay or schedule your artists well enough to have one person draw it consistently throughout the entire run, especially if it's 12 issues in a year. I digress. So moving forward.
Mhm.
It still manages to be one of the best books, or at least the highest selling / highest regarded books.
Yeah.
I only found out recently, and of course it was on Twitter, because Twitter has become just a complete nightmare realm. But I found out that apparently on Twitter only recently people were sour on this book, and I have to assume it was bots, because because all the evidence supports the contrary. All
Yeah.
I've seen
Sure.
have been this book outselling Amazing Spider-Man every month, or this book being just constantly
Well, some
on
people-
top lists.
There are people out there, there's just something like about them where they're just like, if something is succeeding too much, or if everybody likes it, then I think I basically need to be the person.
Yeah, they're called contrarians.
I know.
But they also, they think they need to be like the arbiter. Like, oh, you think Jonah's so great? Well, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Jonah goes in the whale. Job. It's like, oh, you think Job's so pious? Well, what if we throw some boils on him, huh? Like, all right. Like, how about you just enjoy your comics and shut up? But I mean, this is a great book, and continues to kind of like, I assume, vex the people in charge at Marvel who have like agendas about this character, where it's like, well, this is, I mean, any argument you have about this status quo that's in Ultimate Spider-Man, if you're against, is out the window.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm just hopeful that this book continues to sell, because it's a good book. I'm intrigued by the mystery, and of course sad,
right,
by or scared of the outcome. Remember when we were talking about how I was worried about the other shoe on the show? We were talking about this book, and we talk about it every time this book comes out. We were talking about like how there's too much good happening in Peter Parker's life, and Peter Parker's life is defined by tragedy.
Yeah.
When will the other shoe drop?
Oh,
and then the end of the 12th issue of this month.
Yep.
Where it's like, things are going to get bad. And I was like, oh no, I was right. I was right to worry.
They heard you, Sal. They knew it was happening.
Yeah. But anyway, Ultimate Spider-Man debuted in July, or in January.
Before that, technically, Vengeance of the Moon Knight had dropped.
Yeah.
That was like, it's weird for me to put this in here, because it's like Jed MacKay has just been writing Moon Knight, but under different titles, right? I mean,
right.
This was another one of those where it was like Vengeance of the Moon Knight is the relaunch. It's like, oh no, Moon Knight's dead. Now everybody's got to deal with it.
Yep. Oh no. Most people being like, oh, Moon Knight's a character.
Yeah. So
this is you know what? I think it's important to talk about this, because we talk about like the comics.
Yes.
And we talk about the comic book industry. Jed MacKay has tapped into something that is rotten in the state of comic books, and has managed to exploit it.
Yeah.
He's the guy who like found out that fruit ferments and turn it into wine. You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute, we can get another bite of this apple if I turn it into cider.
Okay.
And it's that like Marvel is like, I'm not going to publish issue 62 of Moon Knight. I'm just simply not. And the audience won't show up or stay to allow for that book to continue into the 60s.
It ran for like 30 issues.
Yeah, it did.
Though. So like,
and I bet that was like a real like struggle every time. And I'm not telling tales out of school. I don't know Jed MacKay. I don't think I've even met Jed MacKay. I can't say that I know how this industry works that well, but I can say that I've live and breathe. And I can tell you that Marvel is like allergic to non-top 3 selling books reaching a milestone number outside of legacy numbering.
Right.
And I feel that like MacKay's like, I know how to keep writing Moon Knight.
Right.
And keeping it the same Moon Knight. And he did the same thing with Doctor Strange, where he's like, I just need to relaunch the book, because I mean, even the new the new Amazing Spider-Man series is getting a relaunch with the upcoming Joe Kelly series.
Right.
Like, they're going to relaunch this book for like a 10th time. And it's like, no one is going to buy more. I mean, like, I can't imagine casual or regularly reading fans picking up an issue of Amazing Spider-Man because it's number 1 at this point.
Okay. That's fair.
I know retailers and speculators will do that, but like, who cares? But with Moon Knight, it's like, I gotta do these things. I gotta play the game. And it's like, not everyone is playing the game, and not everyone has access to this game, but MacKay has to hit a couple of marks. He's got to make sure the book consistently sells. Like,
So here's what I do. I don't disagree with you for most books. For this one, I actually appreciated him doing this because, not to spoil it for you folks, but like McKay's run on Moon Knight ends with Moon Knight dying.
Right.
And so when you relaunch the series like this, you're like, I don't
that makes
know
sense.
if he's coming back.
That's true. And it
because
allows you to kind of
literally another guy on the team who's also technically a Moon Knight.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it's like maybe they'll be replacing. Maybe this is a new bold status quo for Moon Knight.
Bingo.
I'm also reading a Marvel comic, so I know to expect that kind of crap.
Right. But it doesn't run for super long before Blood Hunt comes along.
Right.
And then there's a significant event that we'll talk about when we get to July.
Yeah.
That occurs. But I don't know if it's that or if it's just literally he was trying to play smart.
Yeah.
You know.
I think he's playing the.
I think it's a couple of things.
He's playing the market.
Sure.
And it's smart. It's smart.
Sure.
Business.
Sure. In January as well. Like a absolute powerhouse for me this year launches. The ultimate gift for me of 2024. John Constantine, Hellblazer, Dead in America, #1 rolls in as a sequel series to Simon Spurrier and Aaron Campbell's, and Mateo Bergara worked on the other one as well. But this is really just
their baby.
Yeah, it's just Spurrier and Aaron Campbell writing Constantine in a sequeled version from their original series, which mostly took place over in England. This takes place all throughout America, focuses on very a Vertigo feeling book. You know, we have Sandman in this, we have Swamp Thing in this, we have references to all sorts of things, including the Furies and all of that within this, but really talking about story and having Spurrier take a critical eye to America, which I appreciate. You know, if you are a person who's like kind of appreciates Judge Dredd, you might want to read this series.
Well, Spurrier came from the school of 2000 AD and has written a number of stories that take place within that framework. I mean, he's a British invasion artist or writer, so he's like very aware of and went to the school of like contemporary criticism of American comic books and through the lens of Judge Dredd and stuff like that.
Exactly. But this series for me was not only like, yay, it's back. And it wasn't just like the goggles of like me being like, oh my gosh, like
I wanted another
I wanted this so much. It's great. I really came at this with like a fairly critical eye because I was afraid.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by this.
Yeah.
You know, and I still love the first series, and there's an issue there that thanks to Sal, I know now own a page from one of the issues that Campbell did just because I loved the page so much. And it's from one of my favorite stories from that initial run.
Yeah.
This series though has its own issue for me that like I can't stop thinking about. I loved issue 3 of this. It was kind of like it was very much within the story that they were telling, but it was its own kind of standalone story. And it really just hit me hard. And I don't know why. But sometimes that happens. You know what I mean? Like things just hit you and
stick with you.
Yeah, and they just stick with you. And this issue definitely did. Campbell really bringing a great level of skill to it, doing his beautiful splash pages, doing great panel work. But you see that throughout the series. But for me, you know, every time this book came out, it was a joy.
Yes.
And to have it now end at the end of 2024, you know, I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
you know,
it's
like,
sad.
It's sad.
But it must be so gratifying to have this book be consistently great.
Yes. And that is why though I went ahead and actually read it, because sometimes when a series is coming to an end that is not going to be back, like when the first series was ending, even though they had hopes of being picked up for longer, and were not, they just dismissed that out of hand. DC was like, that's not happening. I didn't actually read the last issue for quite a while because I was like in mourning for it. But for this, it was such a celebration.
Yes.
So I was like, nah, I'm doing it. So anyway, that came out in early January. February, Ultimate Black Panther launches.
Yeah, which was actually like, I can't believe they dropped it in Black History Month. What a great idea. Right? But yeah, like this is a book where folks are, I don't hear anybody talking about this book. But I remember them really being excited about it when it was announced. But another book where it's like, you love this series.
I really enjoyed this book a lot. I think the problem for it is it's like Spider-Man is like, Ultimate Spider-Man is filling a want for a lot of Spider-Man fans, people who don't even necessarily read Spider-Man have in their minds like this relationship between Mary Jane and Peter, and this is kind of that wish fulfillment of like seeing it come to be.
Yep.
I feel like Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men, which we'll get into, of course.
Oh yeah, of course.
That is like, you know, taking big swings.
Yes.
You know, it's people love Peach's. I don't know her that well.
Well, yeah, look,
I don't know her well enough to call her.
I'm sure Peach isn't really her real name, so you could call her by that name.
Their art is so different and incredible, and you know, so many people know this work from covers. And so I feel like Ultimate X-Men was like, everyone was excited for that, but like Ultimate Black Panther's like Brian Hill and Stefano Caselli are just like, hey, listen, we're just gonna tell a different but good Black Panther book, and sometimes that's like the, you know, Nightwing of it all.
Yes,
where it's like we're just doing a really good job.
It's just a really consistent book that comes out every time that it's solicited and delivers on its premise, and sometimes that's not bombastic enough for people to get like on lists or to you know, throw it up on their shoulders and parade it around the town, but it is a consistently good book that comes out on time and looks good consistently. Like, I don't think that they've had as many, if any, art shifts as Ultimate Spider-Man did. Right.
No, for sure. And I feel like, so I'm not like necessarily like a person who knows a ton about Black Panther beyond a couple of books and the movies, right? So for me, this was like, felt like a great opportunity to be like, you know, let's dip my toe in the world of Black Panther. I know this isn't going to be one for one exactly what Black Panther is, but at the very least, I can get an idea.
Absolutely.
Right. What helped me, I feel like, stay in there was the fact that they're like, we're also going to roll in like Khonshu into this. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm reading about.
Well, no one had an Ultimate Moon Knight pitch, so let's put him in there. You know, and Ultimate X-Men is the same thing, where it's like Ultimate X-Men has its own plan, but if Momoko's not going to use certain characters, well, then they're just going to have to show up in Ultimate Black Panther. Or Ultimate Spider-Man, or anywhere else.
I just appreciate that. I was like, hey, listen, I'm already reading Moon Knight right now in the main Marvel universe. Like, that's helping to kind of tether me to it. But I like the relationship. I like Black Panther's, like, you know, sort of political thriller, sort of like sci-fi stuff, sort of like supernatural stuff that's going on in it. And again, like, I encourage folks, if you haven't had a chance, like, I'm sure the first volume is out, at least go give it a try. Like I said, like, I know it's not taking maybe the biggest swings, but it is consistently like well-written book. So yeah, but then of course on its heels, Ultimate X-Men drops in early March. So it's like now the trifecta has come out. We've seen what Ultimate Spider-Man is. Ultimate Black Panther rolls in, and then Ultimate X-Men shows up. And this was the one for me for some reason. It wasn't Black Panther. It was this one I thought people were going to reject.
Yes.
Because Peach Momoko went out on record and was like, I don't know
what the X-Men are. Like, I don't read
know
X-Men.
Much about them. Like, I don't. And I think that's why Hickman was like, listen, I just got done with Krakoa. I want a human being who's not going to do that. She'd been playing around, obviously, doing her own, you know, like one-off
versions of characters.
Yeah, her books, right?
Yes. Demon Days,
all that stuff, right? So we already had seen her play with, like, I'll take a Marvel character and I'll translate it to Japanese lore and go from there. But now Hickman's like, I'm going to challenge you to do that, but like in a more modern time frame.
Exactly.
And she does, and I think she does it really well. But I was prepared for this.
Oh yeah, for people to be like,
I'm a
hardcore X-Men fan. How dare you?
But I was more prepared for what I was going to find in this book. And I appreciate that a lot of folks seem to have embraced it.
Yes.
You know, it's doing something so different, but I think what Peach has hit on here is the spirit of X-Men. We've talked about this before. There's certain hallmarks of an X-Men book where it's like, you know, it's camaraderie through your differences. It's, you know, facing adversity. And it's being like a youthful individual with drama and what have you.
Absolutely.
And we have that here, just in a different light. We're watching it all kind of come together. Yes, absolutely.
An unfamiliar culture to some. You know? But I'm delighted by its success.
I am too. I feel like, again, like, this is one of those books though where if you like read the first issue or so and you're like, this is neat, but then maybe didn't like go and buy the rest of them,
right?
I'm telling you, I think this is going to read more strongly as like a trade.
Yes, if you could imagine a more manga focused Western comic might be more read in the format from which it might be more familiar.
Yes.
In the same vein, the Ultimates launched in a world where you know, people weren't familiar but not as familiar with Camp's work. This was a sleeper hit. This was a book that it came out and people were like fine with it, but eventually hit its stride and people just responded so strongly to it. I was amazed by how strongly people were responding to it. I myself enjoyed it, and I have been enjoying most of it. There are occasionally moments where I'm like, I don't really know if that's for me, but I certainly recognize that like camp is trying something very deliberately, very overtly, you know, for everything that you know, for all the like subtlety of like of Hellblazer. This one is like I have issues with this, and this, and we're going to talk about it, or we're going to address it, and we're going to address it with superheroes in a optimistic way. We're in a pessimistic world with an optimistic group.
Yes.
And that is so fantastic. Because American media needs that, and Americans respond more strongly to it, but also because I'm kind of tired of Watchmen, and I would rather see, and also it's a great like antithesis to what we got when the Ultimates first came on the scene in the early 2000s, where it was like, this is this is bleak. These characters are miserable monsters. You know, these characters are all optimists, or at the very least, they're trying to do good in a world that is so pessimistic. Of course, the original Ultimates was like, it's our world, but with superheroes. How dark could that get? Sex tapes and whatnot. Like, this is just watch these heroes try to reclaim the world. And for that, I applaud its efforts. And it's fun interpretations of familiar characters. So congratulations on Ultimates. There's also another book that people loved that was only a one-shot, and I had no idea what it was all about when it was launched. I assumed, I think like probably a few people, that it was going to be an ongoing, especially when Hickman's name was attached to it.
Right.
And that would be, of course, the Doom one-shot. This book was, really, really cool, and I did not know what to expect from it. I was honestly a little disappointed that it was in another universe and that it was a one-shot and whatnot, but it did put Sanford Green on my radar. And man, did this book deliver. Like, it had the energy of a Daniel Warren Johnson comic, which is the highest of praises I can give a comic book at this point. But the fact that it has a it has an homage to the like creator that approximated Doom's visage, but also that it manages to be this like fun examination of Valeria and Doom and Galactus. There's a lot of cool going on in this book that is, by and large, just kind of this odd what if book.
Yeah.
But really, really exciting series or issue that I wish could have gotten more, but I'm also really glad that we got it. Because of the passing of MF Doom, I think people were really like looking for an outlet, to feel like some kind of catharsis and to be given permission to mourn, and I think this book gave them that. So congratulations on that. It's a really good book, but and one that like I forgot about, it's easy to forget, but it's also like it'll stay with you.
Right. We skipped over. Okay. You jumped into May.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Well, my books are all over the place.
I know. But we can't leave March, at least on my timeline, because I have mine in chronological.
Oh yeah, sure. Of course.
Without talking about Helen of Windhorn.
Helen of Windhorn,
#1 by Tom King and Bilkis Evely. We see like 2024 gives us all of Helen of Windhorn.
Yes, the whole damn series.
The whole series. So if you missed it, folks, go grab the trade.
Yeah.
Just get the trade. Trust me on this one.
It will be out soon.
Yeah. Like unbelievable art. Tom King just having an amazing time. For me, this feels like Tom really stretching muscles, because obviously when he's telling stories within DC, he can really do whatever he wants, but of course I feel like he has certain limitations to some degree. But when he's playing in his own world, it's more fun.
And it's funny because I think that when this book was being developed, it was in the wake of what I think King perceived as a failure of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Oh, sure.
And not that the book was a failure in any way. In fact, the book was a triumph. It was a phenomenal series that was that deserves every bit of recognition and accolade that it can get. And the fact that they were even making a movie based off of it is like, yeah, like that's the least you can do with this book. The least you could do is put out a hardcover, which eventually they did, but only because there was a movie.
Right.
But fantastic series, but also critically, or rather commercially, unsuccessful.
Sure.
Movie comes out, suddenly those $1 books that I found are worth a little bit more. But in the wake, in the transition between commercial failure and movie on the horizon, like filming in January, Helen Winhorn was developed as a kind of spiritual successor or continuation of this concept. King wasn't done talking about characters of this nature. And thank goodness that like the timeline worked out the way it did.
I agree wholeheartedly. Just a beautiful work. I love King's ability to craft a fully formed world.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? In which, you know, it's a fantasy world, which is its own challenges.
Yes.
But he's not beating you over the head with it. He very much is like, this world exists. There's a ton of it. This is the only part you need to know about, but just understand that all these characters have a history and a language and a culture, and we're just gonna hang around. And love the device of, you know, it being a story told to another person, to another person kind of thing. Really enjoy that. A couple of layers there. Helen is a delightful character who's a flawed human being. I really love that about her. And of course, Evely's art is truly
next level.
Unfreaking believable.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. Congratulations to Helen Winhorn.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if you saw Helen appear in a movie or show in the near
hope
future.
So. I really do. I just think it's just a beautiful series. So much fun. I wish Evely did like more work like this, but I can only imagine how much it must take.
Oh my God. Yeah. Really quick shout out to the sequel to Minor Threats that also came out during 2024. The Fastest Way Down debuted in that in this year, and it was a great series, a really fun, kind of subversive and kind of almost Venture Brothers-esque take on superheroes. Dug it a lot. I'm very proud of how it turned out. Really is very happy for them, for Blum and Oswald for what they did. Good looking book. I think the sequel's honestly better than the first one, so it's definitely worth checking out. But I remember that came out. I saw it and I'm like, well, yeah, Fast Way Down. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to. I'm just touching on books that like may have come out that I didn't talk about, or that you definitely wouldn't have talked about.
Well, whatever.
Like for example, Garth Ennis wrote a James Bond book in 2024.
Oh, right.
And it launched and ended in 2024.
Yep.
And it was kind of good. You know, like it was authentic.
Yeah.
And when I say authentic, I mean like authentically Fleming Bond, where like Bond is a xenophobe. It worked in the context of like what Ennis does and what Bond can be. I dug it, and I was surprised by how much I dug it. I was like, Garth Ennis is James Bond. This is gonna be gross and terrible. I can't wait.
Right.
Give me a front row seat for this weird mess. And it turned out to just kind of be a regular old Bond story.
Right.
He didn't do everything, but he didn't underdo it. And it was just a cool book that I was surprised to have been entertained by.
Yes.
And it's worth mentioning, you know, it's like, hey, Garth Ennis did a James Bond book, and it was pretty cool. That was unexpected. Thundercats debuted in 2024.
Oh my goodness.
As well.
Yeah.
Huge release. People are very, very high on this book, and continues today to the point where they're introducing new characters that are invented in the book itself, and a spin-off series as well. So congratulations to Thundercats on that meteoric success.
Wow.
I think it helped Dynamite in a big way, and I think it allowed for other books that might not have been made to come out, not just Thundercats related, but also the Silverhawks book that's coming out, but also opportunities that yours truly might have been involved with. I don't want to talk about that right now. I just want to mention that, like, you know, that's, you know, I think Thundercats has something to do with that.
Right.
In the same vein, Jason Aaron's Ninja Turtles debuted in 2024.
Yes.
And let me tell you, that book needed like a good old shot in the arm. And while I was disappointed to hear when they first announced it that it was going to be in the same continuity as the old IDW series, you know, Aaron is giving the book his classic approach and his kind of like, you know, critical creative eye. And so as a result, like, while it may be within the same context and continuity of the old IDW series, it does feel like a really fresh start. I you know, just the whole rollout has been smart. Like, I'm impressed with what IDW has done with this Ninja Turtles book. From the first 4 issues, each focusing on a turtle, while also not just being kind of like those micro series one shots that like as an homage that they used to do. No. It's one story. It is like if you buy issue 1, while issue 1 is by a creative team that will not be returned to because each issue has a different artist on it. It drives the story that will be in like issue 9. You know what I mean? Like, so you can, but because you have different artists focusing on these different turtles, you get this kind of like reinvigoration where you get like really top tier talent. You get Cliff Chong, you got Raphael Albuquerque, so many different amazing artists. Chris Burnham working on this. That like it gives the book the gravitas that it always should have. Like, by all rights, Ninja Turtles should be a top 20 book, all the time because of its popularity, and because like there's so many there's so many creatives in the industry that are working in this industry who love Ninja Turtles. Anyone you like, literally every creative that I've ever met would trip over themselves to do a Ninja Turtles book, or should, and that should and every artist that is working today has done Turtles art. Right. You know what I mean? And it's just this book is finally recognizing the potential that the Turtles always had.
I hear you. Really quick, I want to mention we're talking about Vengeance of the Moon Knight.
Yes. But there were other Moon Knight books.
Fist of Khonshu, Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu. Drops its 0 issue in the wake of Blood Hunt, because obviously during Blood Hunt, well, I think it was really during Vengeance, but like during that time period, Moon Knight comes back.
Yes. Mark Spector Moon Knight.
Mark Spector Moon Knight comes back. So now we have the new series of Fist of Khonshu, which has been coming out, and I really enjoy it. It's, you know, we're watching Jed McKay bring Moon Knight back to being like just like, you know, I take care of my territory.
Yes.
And that's what I'm here to do. I'm going to keep it safe from crazy fantasy drugs. Let's go. And I'm here for it. Of course, I think we're going to be seeing, we are seeing Cappuccio leave this book.
Yeah, he's going to do Ultimate Wolverine this year.
Absolutely. And I, you know, good on you folks getting Ultimate Wolverine. We're going to miss him very much over in the Moon Knight realm, but hopefully the next artist will be equally as spectacular.
Yep.
Also in June, went back a little, Zatanna Bring Down the House #1 launched and would be completed by October.
Yeah.
It's a Black Label book. We had a couple of great Black Label books dropped this year. This one for me was fantastic. I love this by Mariko Tamaki with art by Javier Rodriguez, just bringing a very different level of art. The coloring on this is also spectacular. But it was like, listen, if you wanted a book that wasn't about Batman,
that was from Black Label.
This was it. This is where to look for it for sure. It was just like, it was just a fun book. It was like, hey, let's talk about the Zatanna. Like, let's talk about her origins. Let's talk about her dad and her relationship there, and you know, her relationship with magic a little bit, and introduce some like fun, interesting rules and some crazy looking monsters.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what the audience that is vocal online has been asking for.
Yes.
Not just a Zatanna book, but a Black Label book that allows you to push the envelope and try things and be experimental and creative.
Yes. 100%. I loved this book. I feel like, I don't think this was not like talked about. I just
people
think
talked about it, but not
there
enough.
Wasn't a ton of folks who wouldn't grab this. But now that it's all wrapped up, I mean, like there's nothing to stop you from
picking up the hardcover. Yeah, exactly. Fun book.
Yeah, absolutely fun book. And I mean, like, look at the art here. So much fun.
Yeah.
So great. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Also, Hunger in the Dust came back.
Yes, it
For
did.
book 2. We had book 1. Book 2 came back. Julia Wilson, Chris Wildgoose on that. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to it. Like, I love this series.
Oh my God, yeah. No, I mean, any opportunity to reintroduce the audience to the Hunger in the Dusk is a good one.
Yeah. Just solid fantasy story. Wilson has made no attempt to hide the fact that she used to play World of Warcraft, and obviously, that there's an influence there, but it is not that. It's not stolen from there. It's just, if you played World of Warcraft, you probably feel very comfortable in this world. You have some ideas, but at the same time, the antagonist to this is very different. And really, this is a story about two very disparate cultures trying to come together, and they really should do that in order to save themselves against this other antagonist, but it's very difficult. I love this series a lot. It's also romance, and the orcs are sexy.
Right. Hot orcs.
Hot orcs.
I know.
Namor #1 also showed up in July. Perfect time.
Yes.
Beach time.
I know. And it was a great debut and a really awesome book.
Yeah.
I still need to catch up on the last 2 issues, but it is the first 2 that I read, I love.
Yeah, Jason Aaron, Paul Davidson, and Alex Lind on this. 2 artists helming it, because we got, the past stuff and then the current stuff for Namor. Really fun. If you liked Aaron's work on Conan, you probably enjoy this.
Yeah,
for sure. It's a lot of let's talk about where Namor comes from. Let's get a better understanding of him. It doesn't necessarily make him more likable, but it's you get it.
If you did try to make Namor more likable, you don't get Namor. That's not who he is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really enjoy this series, but this is often a series I forget about. But every time I pick up the book, I'm like, oh yeah, I like this. This is fun. This is fun for sure. Go ahead. You want to talk about it, or you want?
Oh, X-Force?
Yeah, X-Force launches.
The best X book out now
for us.
Yeah. This is a fantastic series from Jeff Thorne and Marcus Toe.
Right now.
Well, has been
when it launched.
It was great series that Forge centric. Forge puts together a team. He's got a MacGuffin that is giving him pings that are world ender threats that he alone, along with his team, can confront. It's just and if you are looking, and I think I don't want to speak for you, but if you're looking for a successor to the Krakoa era, because all the other X books are reactions to / deviations from.
Well, I can't even say that because I haven't read it in so long. It's difficult for me to.
Oh, the new X-Men books?
Yeah.
Trust me. I occasionally bomb in and I'm like, yeah, I didn't miss anything. I'm not enjoying them, so I don't read them.
Right.
But X-Force I do enjoy, and I really think it's a fine book that has a good hook, good premise, and great execution. It's just it's worth checking out at the very least, especially if you like the Krakoa period, because you'll be like, oh, these are characters that I kind of find familiar and I remember, or it's because every Krakoa book had a theme and a concept and a driving force. All of them had a direction, and it wasn't just whatever we're doing next, whatever the big event is going to be. No, they were they all had a kind of a concept that you followed.
Yeah.
And that's what this book does. It has an idea, and don't let Deadpool fool you. He's only in the first couple issues. But it's a good, fun book.
No, it is. It's a great book. In terms of I haven't really been keeping up with the other X-Men, so it's really hard for me to say oh no, they are
this is the best book.
They're rejecting Krakoa out of hand,
right?
But this book just felt like it was just here are the characters. Some of them you really hung out with during Krakoa, and who they are now is a direct reaction to what happened to them then.
Yes.
But yeah, I love this series. I really like how some of the first issues were almost episodes,
yes,
where they're just all right, here's what we're dealing with, but now let's deal with this thing that's happening over here. We have this whole thing,
yes,
but we got to deal with this, and then we're gonna deal with that.
But
yeah, really great book, solid entry into X-Men, and definitely for me how I'm keeping my toe in the water.
Absolutely. Yeah, in that same vein, while it's not the same month that it came out, I also want to give a shout out to the Storm series. It's the other X-Men book that I'm reading. Marewa Ayodele is giving us a Storm that I understand and that I can get behind. Not that I never liked Storm, but she's such a like larger than life character. It's harder for me to connect with her. You know, I prefer schlubs who live in the city.
Right.
And she is not that. But her journey is interesting. Her struggles are, you know, her level. And the story overall is like, it doesn't feel like it's trying to be a Storm solo book at the expense of an X-Men, or now she's an Avenger story. It is just a cool Storm book.
Yeah.
And it delivers. The art's great and the story's fun. I just think it's definitely a strong showing. And I'm glad that, like, at least in that regard, you know, X-Men still continuing, where it's like, give each character a good, strong creative team that has a direction, that has a concept.
Yeah.
Wolverine also debuted in 2024.
Yeah,
the new
a couple of
ongoing
different
Wolverine
versions.
Yeah, we got Wolverine Revenge from Greg Capullo, which isn't great. Like, the art's great, but like the book isn't. It's odd. Like, we're getting cool fights, but that's kind of it. It's out of continuity, which is also kind of baffling. But I appreciate that, at least, like, you know, when Greg Capullo came back to Marvel, it's like, yeah, draw Wolverine and draw all of Wolverine's rogues and draw a bunch of X-Men and draw like Captain America 2. Draw, like, you know, just shove everything into this book. But it does feel a little hollow. Whereas with the main Wolverine series, which I believe is crap, who does Wolverine? But the Wolverine series from, almost got it. Well, the main Wolverine series from Saladin Ahmed is like really solid. I expected it not to be, because I don't care for Saladin Ahmed's Daredevil book.
I know you don't.
But I do enjoy it, and I was like, every week every other week I pick it up, and I'm like, it's a fun book.
Yeah.
And continues to be like a Wolverine book. Like, oh, good. Like, you get it.
Well, I'm kind of glad that like one of us kept up with Wolverine, because again, like for me, like it's just funny because it was just Krakoa's end really was like a perfect like time for me to jump off. And it wasn't just that I like, again, it wasn't that I was like, oh no, it's not my stories anymore, I don't care.
No,
it was literally just, I was like,
you're like, I'm reading too many effing books.
Well, but it was like, this is time. It's okay for me to let this go right now.
Yeah.
And like X-Force has really just been one where I was just like, you know what? I'm enjoying this. I'm going to keep up with that. But like the rest of the X books, I'm just going to let them go for right now. You know what I mean? Like maybe one day I'll come back to them. But for right now, like I'll stick with this. And it frees me up to go like, hey, listen, I'm going to read like most of, not all of the Ultimate books that come out. I'm going to read the Absolute books. I can now free up some time for some more indie books, which is like something I love.
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of those, Power Fantasy came out this year. We had 5 issues in 2024. Kieran Gillen, Casper Wingard. This is a book that I was like, I didn't see coming. I knew Kieran was working on a different book that was actually an OGN that came out, which I actually forgot to put on the list because it didn't release the same way. But when this launched, I was like, this isn't the book I thought this was. It was a totally different book. And this easily became one of my top 10 books of the year.
Yeah.
August was like, hey, here you go. Just enjoy this. Kieran clearly, and he has admitted this, he had more he wanted to say and do from the effect of X-Men and Krakoa, but without it being like an X-Men book or a Krakoa book. But he enjoyed this examination of heroes in this light. And so like a la Watchmen, like what if heroes in like the real world? That's what this is. This is like, what if heroes in the real world, what would that be like?
Yeah.
But it is like realistic, and it can be at times like bleak, but it's not like completely a like joyless world.
No, exactly. It is not like, it doesn't have that more cynicism.
Yeah,
because I don't see Kieran Gillen as being a cynic. I think
no, he's just he's using it as very much as an examination. But this book like shook me to my core. And in like the second issue, there's this beautiful essay, and then that continues to have all these like essays within there. But it talks about like examining heroes and like, you know, what does that mean? And like, you know, talking about the history of it. And this is the thing that like, this book was the book I was like, when this comes out in trade, like I want to get it and give it to Ethan and see what he thinks about it. The trade's going to be released on January 29th. And I think it's going to be $10 because like Image usually does that when they try to like make like the first trade be like a very reasonable price. So if this is a book you haven't had a chance to pick up, or maybe you just haven't had the spare change for it, totally get that. There's been so many great books that have been coming out. You'll be able to pick up the first 5 issues on January 29th in trade
Oh,
form.
great.
Kind of wanted to give that plug in there.
Sure.
But that's the type of stuff where it's just like, I would have wanted to read this, and not having to pick up like 17 X books for me right now really worked out, because it turns out like, oh my gosh, like I get to grab Power Fantasy, and I love this book so much. It's just, and like Wingard's art,
oh my god,
again, adds to that. It is not dour.
No. Yeah, no, it's not
grimmed
silly.
up.
Like, it doesn't look like goofy and otherworldly. It's still grounded, but it's not dark. It's not grim. I wanted to give a quick shout out to a couple of Spider-Man books that came out this year that were just leaps and bounds ahead of Amazing Spider-Man, which includes Spider-Man Shadow of the Green Goblin, which was a fun return of J.M. DeMatteis's stint on Spider-Man. Everything you love about J.M. DeMatteis is on display here. Plus everything you like about Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Good book that I really enjoyed. Greg Weisman from Gargoyles fame dropped into Spider-Man to do the Spectacular Spider-Man series.
Wild.
Yeah, with Humberto Ramos on art for pretty much the entire stint of the first arc or two. This book was fun, but lost me at some point. It was just kind of like, not that it was a bad book, but it just, like, it was not what I'm looking for.
Sure.
It should be, and I think it's certainly scratching an itch for so many different Spider-Man fans, especially because in Miles and Peter's respective books, you don't get this interaction and this collaboration between these two characters as much as you would ever expect. And I don't know why, but this book is like, it seeks to answer that question, or at the very least deal with those criticisms soundly. So I'm impressed with how Spider-Man has continued, and that, like, I'm glad that it's selling. And finally, there's another book that had absolutely no business existing.
I did not put this on my list.
This is on my list because this book had absolutely no business existing. No one on earth asked for this sequel, and especially me. But Kari Andrews' Spider-Man Reign 2 debuted and ended in 2024, and it was a total mess. It was an absolute train wreck of a book, and it's everything that I wanted. It is not like an apology, but it is. It is a total train wreck, and I absolutely was there for every single solitary moment of it. Every gear that flew off, every tree it impacted, I was here to witness, and I'm glad I was. This book was so effing bizarre. But if you remember the infamous Spider-Man Reign book, this one does kind of deal with it and address it. Doesn't shy away from all the criticisms and complaints about it, while also being a staunch love letter to Kari Andrews' enjoyment of Todd McFarlane's period on Spider-Man. Like, this is just unbelievable in every respect. Such a weird book. And came and went in 2024, gave us Santa Spider-Man, which I can't believe I love. I also loved the little cat character, the little black cat, who has absolutely, like, who was an afterthought. It is a design, and then they just don't know what to do with her, and she just disappears. Bizarre.
100%.
Bizarre, and I was here for it. I don't regret spending my money on this book whatsoever.
I'm gonna fast track a couple here.
Me too, yeah.
Plastic Man No More came out, another Black Label series, a non-Bat Black Label. I was going Bat Label,
right?
Non-Bat Black Label book. We got all issues of this year, written by Chris Cantwell, art by Jacob Edgar and Alec Linz.
Yes.
Really interesting examination of this character. I read the whole thing, and I still can't tell you if I like the ending of it or not. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm thrilled with the fact that they went ahead and were like, let's do a non-Batman book. Went for it. And I hope folks who loved Plastic Man loved this book. I really, really do. But for me, like, the ending, I was like, do I like this? I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe that means that I do, because I'm thinking about it.
You're still thinking about it, exactly.
Dazzler, also, I mentioned it earlier. This was like, I think it was 4 or 5 issues.
Yeah, I think it was 4.
Jason Liu, Rafael Loureiro on this one. I enjoyed most of this. I just, again, the landing, the ending for this didn't land for me.
Yes.
But they are tempting or teasing potentially another series
with
Dazzler in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, like, this I'm looking for Doctor Strange is like, here's like here's an arc. All right, we'll see you later, Doc.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
let's do that. Another great indie book that arrived around the same time as Power Fantasy was Tin Can Society.
Oh yeah.
My goodness. Another book that examines superheroes in a sense, or puts them in a real world, has sort of like Stephen Kingian vibes, not with the horror stuff, but the like, let's look at these kids, these misfits as children and see where they ended up. A lot of like real emotions in this, a lot of like messy relationships in this book.
Sure.
It's like written by Rick Remender, kind of like, I think it's like story by, but really written by Peter Warren with art by Francesco Mobili. The art for this book, incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. The first issue just slams you in the face with this like splash page of like this dead hero, and it's like, oh my gosh, where is this going? I really enjoy these characters. I enjoy how flawed they are, how like human they feel.
Yes.
And I really like this series, especially because like the covers to me always remind me of like Rockwellian art.
Yeah.
It's just like a very different series than Power Fantasy, but kind of in the same wheelhouse.
Right, exactly. Really quick, talking about Batman for a second, because he pays the bills. The Batman First Night came and went. That was another, speaking of, hey, listen, Black Label, get the hell out of the way here. We got Batman books to come out. But this book was so exactly what DC needs to be doing from time to time. The Batman, it's set during the time when Batman first actually debuted, and just kind of presupposes like, what if we did that? Like, what if we told a story about Batman actually, existing in the late 30s?
Right.
So yeah, it plays with that, but it's written by Dan Jurgens, art by Mike Perkins, and it is a good looking book. And it is engaging and interesting. It's the kind of book they would have made in the 90s or the 2000s. I'm glad that they made this, and it's available for a hardcover now, which you can pick up. But the real like star of the like, where did this come from Batman stuff, before we get into the bigger one of that, was Allred's Batman Dark Age, which was and continues to be bizarre. Such a great book. Mark Russell's Dark Age, and it's so weird and so cool and so engaging, and every time you think the book's almost over, you keep reading more. Like, there's just more pages. Like, this book, it's almost like it breaks some kind of reality barrier and adds more pages to the book as you're reading it.
It's a unique experience for every reader.
It completely is. Like, it's so bizarre. But I love every second of it. It's such a treasure when it comes out. And it's one of those things where I forget that it comes out, so it's like, oh my God, that's right. This book is so great. In that same vein, we also got, speaking of Hayden Sherman, of all people, that Batman Dark Patterns book that dropped.
Oh, you mean the most iconic cover for you, because it looks like it
came out of the 90s?
Yeah, it was pulled from the 90s.
Yeah, that's right. Gorgeous cover. But and by the way, like, before this book even came out, this print was available for purchase at New York Comic Con at Hayden Sherman's booth. But only one issue so far, but promises to be a 3-act structure. So there'll be 3 mini series.
Interesting.
With their, like, with a I think 3 issues per mini series, which I think is a really smart, interesting concept.
Yes.
And but gorgeous book, very intriguing.
Yes.
Classic Batman.
Yes.
And just delivers, and it helps to provide this kind of like new renaissance of old Batman that we're getting in 2020. That we got
more old Batman
in 2024.
Well, let's just stick on the Batman train.
We should,
because October rolls around and the Absolute Unit.
Oh no,
that is Absolute Batman drops.
Yes,
on October 9th.
Yes, man.
So much flurry around this in the wake of Absolute Power, in the wake of the All-In special, in the wake of Comic-Cons and Ash Cans and reveals and
leaks, rumors, speculation, whispers at Comic-Con bars.
Yeah. Like, tea leaf readings, all of it just surrounding this lineup of Absolute books, but mostly around Batman. You know, like he shows up, he looks like we've never seen Batman look before, and folks immediately start speculating and
making fun of it, making jokes,
or making jokes, or being, I love this, knowing nothing about it. But the first issue finally drops, and people immediately fall in love with this Batman.
Yeah, 100%. Whether you were on the kind of like cautious precipice, or whether you were a hater, like people really responded to this book, including myself. I had a very unique experience in relationship with the series, but I can tell you that
you did.
I think if I had no knowledge of it previously, if I did not experience the book as I did, and I just went into it cold, I would also immediately fall in love with the series. Dragotta's art is second to none when it comes to like the execution here. Frank Martin's colors elevate Dragotta's pencils to the place where I go from, oh, you should not get Nick Dragotta, to, oh my God, I can't imagine anyone else doing this book.
Yeah.
That's just, and I think it has a lot to do with the colors. But Dragotta also clearly like loves this and is delivering on every conceivable level.
Yes.
And Snyder has the, as we've talked about, the youthful energy of a young Scott with the experience. Like, it is like Scott at his age now leapt into his younger body and took over. Was like, let me drive, because now I know how to do all this stuff with like the muscles and the and you know, and the energy of a younger man. It was just such a great book.
100%.
And is exactly what the Absolute line needed.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, this was the right launch.
Because you could have launched with Absolute Wonder Woman, because it's borderline the best book of the Absolute line
for me. Every person has a different opinion about this, and actually it's great because it's not like there's one where everyone's like, but not that one.
No, well, maybe.
No, a lot of people like Absolute Superman.
They do.
Yeah. No, this was the one to launch with. Obviously, like, really, this is Snyder has been like the push behind this, so it made sense to launch with his book.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I definitely did. But honestly, October 9th, that wasn't the biggest book that came out that day.
No.
The biggest book that came out that day was Terminator #1. Declan Shalvey,
for us it was, certainly.
Writing that, but more importantly, Sal Crivelli writing the backup of that. One of the biggest drops of the year, Terminator #1. Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
We've had the backup writer on the show a couple of times to talk.
It's true.
I've
been here before.
He's a very down-to-earth individual, very kind person, and a very talented writer. We've been very fortunate to be able to talk with them about it. Yeah, so looking forward to the rest of this series in 2025.
Yeah, because I do the backup for the first 5 issues.
Yes.
But the show, the book will continue. Issue 6 has already been solicited, and there's already pre-orders for it. But Shalvey will continue his story, and I will see where it goes from there.
Yes,
but
I can't wait to see where it goes.
My collaboration with Colin Craker, who's the artist on this, has just been phenomenal. Yes. Craker's work only gets better. I was such a fan of his pages when they were coming in. Issue 3, dropped recently, and I got a chance to look at it. I mean, I wrote it, and I'm like, well, I bought it. I don't look through it. I'm not that much of a narcissist, but I did recently, and I was like, wow, it really came out great. Yes. Like that third issue, because the idea is it's 10 pages broken up 2 pages at a time across 5 issues. A lot of numbers. Sorry about that. It'll be in the trade. But Craker just delivering on each page.
Absolutely.
Just these really cool Terminator things. And that was one of my driving forces. And I talked about this enough. You don't need to hear me jaw on about Terminator, but like, I could have, because I remember Tom was very complimentary. Tom King was very complimentary about it. And he was like, so what did you use of mine? Did you use the 9-panel grid? Did you make it really sad? Because I feel like I'm a mentor to you in a way. And I was like, I deliberately didn't ape off anything. That my whole approach was like, because I didn't want it to be heady. I didn't want it to be pretentious. I was just like, I just want it to be cool.
Yeah.
Like, I want cool stuff to happen. Yes. So like, you're going to see cars driving through walls. You're going to see Terminators like ripping, like, see the skin ripped off. You're going to see Terminator faces. Like, it's going to be cool. And that's, and if I only get to do this one thing, at least it'll look dope.
Yeah.
That was so important to me. Yeah. Just that it was cool looking. And that, like, I mean, Craker was going to make it look cool anyway, but I wanted to give him cool shit to draw.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, shout out to Luke Sparrow, who did the art in the main book.
Yes.
They get their flowers.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah.
I want to talk about another Black Label book, this time an actual Bat Label book.
Oh,
Batman
no.
Full Moon dropped in October. Perfect timing for this book.
Yes.
Rodney Barnes writing this one. Steven Stubik on art for this. It's Batman and werewolves, folks.
Yeah. I don't know what else you want.
I don't know what else you want. Like, I want this.
This gorgeous cover. I think there's also a glow-in-the-dark element.
Yes, I believe there is.
This is exactly what like DC should be doing at all times.
Yeah,
not just like not Batman fighting werewolves all the time, but like Batman can support it. Make one.
Oh,
like
100%.
try it.
This is exactly what Black Label should be for.
Absolutely.
It's just like, well, I want to watch Batman fight a werewolf.
Maybe turn into one. Like, I don't know. Put it in Black Label.
Put it in there.
Yeah, if you can't get it into the main book, then do a mini series where it's cool and
100%.
dark and can maybe 17 plus.
100%. Absolute Wonder Woman.
Oh,
showing up in October. Kelly Thompson, Hayden Sherman on art. They killed it on art.
Yeah.
Killed it on art. Looks so great.
Art, panel layout, everything about it.
Thompson's story is brilliant.
Yep.
I love this. And again, I fully recognize that this book is like
for you.
It's like they just dialed into my brain and just pulled out what apparently I wanted and put it on the page. I recognize that there is no objectivity for me. It is only subjective from here on out when it comes to absolute books. This book is for me. I love this book. I think it's brilliant. Soup to nuts.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Absolutely. And in fact, this is I remember when this was dropped, when this image alone was dropped, people were like, I'm in. Like, they were just so excited about it.
Yeah.
And the first 3 issues have been fantastic. I have no doubt like the next arc will be even more exciting. Because we'll have known her, we'll have been there, we'll get to see where Thompson wants to take this character. Such a great series, and such a delight.
Gorgeous. Really great to follow Batman with Wonder Woman, because I think she's like an interesting palette cleanser between
Batman and Superman.
Yeah, for sure. But before we get to that,
the
same week that Absolute Wonder Woman drops, a book that I think everyone has forgotten about dropped. Green Lantern Dark #1. It's an Elseworlds book dropped by Tate Bromble, with art by Werther Del Edera, who is of Something Is Killing the Children fame. Just something I didn't even know I wanted. Takes the Lantern from the Tangent universe. And here's a book. Here's another book.
Yep.
Great looking stuff. Del Edera's art is spectacular. I don't know if this is Del Edera's work though, necessarily. But such a great look for this series. I absolutely enjoyed this, and I know there's another one coming out, so I can,
there's still more. We can still talk about it.
Yes.
So cool.
Great books. If you missed this and you are interested in this Lantern at all, or seeing more Elseworlds stories, here's a strong entry into the Elseworlds lore.
Yes.
But I think it definitely got overshadowed by Absolute Wonder Woman dropping the same
big
day,
time. Yeah,
for certain on that. Of course, following this up, it gets caught up in the sandwich of Absolute Superman dropping as well.
Yes.
Early November. Bam. Now we have the Trinity is out for the Absolute universe.
Yeah.
And this one for me, I was pretty critical of this, but not in a didn't like it way, just in a I know Aaron's work. And I had certain expectations.
Yes.
Of his stories. He's usually pretty tight when it comes to telling a story, and this felt a little less tight.
Yeah.
But that didn't make it like a no-go for me. It just meant like it had room to improve.
Exactly. Well, and I think it's a good series, and Jason Aaron has like a real direction he wants to take this character, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I speaking of other random books just across the board, there were a couple of books that I was really excited for. But before we do that, Elseworlds came back, and that was a really important point to make, is that DC resurrected Elseworlds and their old logo, the Bullet logo.
Yes.
And that was really cool and really exciting. It wasn't necessarily a comic book, but it was certainly.
But what else was resurrected in 2024?
Vertigo came back in 2024.
At least they announced it.
DC righted some wrongs.
They definitely righted some wrongs. That's exactly what they did. Wrongs were written.
That's right.
Back. Rightened.
Another book that came and went in 2024 that I was critical
like the beginning
of
the year.
I know. I forgot about mentioning it, but like I was critical of it, but I also recognize that like it's a book that I have come to appreciate more and more as we roll into 2025, and that's Avengers Twilight from Chip Zdarsky and Daniel Acuna. When they announced this book, I was like, I need this book. And when I read it, I was like, I could see where this book is going. But it was a really interesting concept, and it's something where it's like, I don't understand why Marvel only lets Zdarsky do this. And I'm not saying that Zdarsky is like hoarding it. I'm saying that, like, yeah, you launch it with Zdarsky did the same thing with What If
right
a couple years ago as well with Spider Shadow, and then they didn't do anything else with it.
Yeah, so I think the lesson is don't let him launch your series.
Yeah, I
or
guess
your new
not.
imprints, because it means that no one else will do them.
I guess. I mean, they did do a Fantastic Four life story after he did Spider-Man life story, but again, that's when it ended.
Right.
But like, we've had this interesting Kingdom Come version of Avengers. We've had What If, and we've had Life Story, all launched by Chip Zdarsky, all abandoned by Marvel. And it's so bizarre, where we live in a world where, you know, DC's like, well, no, Elseworlds, Absolute, Vertigo, everything. Yes, Black Label still, we brought back Vertigo, but Black Label's still going to be here. Like, I'm sorry, what?
Yes, and
yeah, just more. Okay, fine. Ghost Machine launched in 2024.
That's right. A lot of folks in on that. A lot of folks not interested whatsoever.
I just couldn't, like, I mean, I read a bunch of the Ghost Machine books, and they are all admittedly great, but also whatever. You know, if this had been in a time when both publishers were screwing up big time, it would get a bigger release, or people would be more excited, or we'd hear more scuttlebutt about it. I'm sure it's selling fine. I mean, I would imagine it's selling fine. One of the most hotly anticipated books of 2024 for me, was AVA, Avengers versus Aliens, from Hickman and Ribic. Yeah, when you said, oh, the creative team from Secret Wars is returning to do an Avengers versus Aliens crossover comic book, I was like, there's no way that's true. Well, we're like 2 issues in of, like, I think 4 issues, and my God, it's exactly what you'd expect, except not in any way. Which is exactly what I expected. I expected to be surprised, and I am routinely by this book, and it's so great, and I do love it. And but you know, and I hope it teaches the right lesson, which is like, get the right creative team to do this, like, thing people want.
Yeah,
and it will work. It will thrive.
Absolutely.
Justice League Unlimited came out of the ashes of DC's All In special, which was an interesting debut. I'm not saying that I love it. In fact, I reviewed the second issue just like yesterday.
Yes.
But it's, you know, it's important to note that, like, we got the Justice League returning in 2024, and Mark Waid on the book, and Dan Mora on the series, and finally embracing the Justice League Unlimited of it all, which is, like, arguably what most modern DC fans probably are introduced to the DC universe from as a result. And so, you know, it's just another good decision from DC. And it's just bears repeating, or at the very least reiterating. What else you got?
I mean, really quickly, this one's not like necessarily a huge thing, but it was just interesting to see James Tynion IV and Werther Dell'Edera go back to Something Is Killing the Children and start from the beginning in a way where they added an issue 0.
Yeah.
They were like, let's learn a little bit more about the little girl you see in the wagon and what happened with her afterwards.
Sure.
I thought that was really interesting, especially because they pulled panels and pages directly from the first issue to reuse there.
Yes.
So you definitely can see how Dell'Edera's, like, artwork has changed over the years ever so slightly. But I thought that was really great. Loved that they did it, and you know, it was just a welcome, like, back to a simpler time within Something Is Killing the Children.
Indeed.
FML launched as well. Kelly Sue DeConnick, David Lopez, interesting book that promised, like, you know, like a Scott Pilgrim-y level of, like, somewhat fourth wall breaking, you know, styles within the book, but also some supernatural stuff. It's only like 2 issues in, and I still don't know who the main character is yet. Like, I don't know. I'm like, is it the kids? Is it the mom? Is it any of them and everyone? Does it not matter? Because it's like more of a small town vibe for this. But yeah, I like this book. It has something to say for sure. I will warn you, it's Kelly Sue DeConnick. It's got something to say.
Oh, sure.
But it's very much based in 2020 on.
Yeah.
You know, pandemics, what do kids have to worry about, that type of stuff.
Right.
Very interesting story, but do be warned that, like, you know, there might be stuff in there that might upset you or trigger you. So just FYI. But FML, I liked it. The art's great. It's fun.
Yeah.
So fun. So fun. Also, The Question All on the Watchtower came out on my birthday. So I was like, well, I might as well check this out. Alex Segura and Cyan Tormi on art for this. I didn't get a chance to read the second issue. I'm a bad question reader, apparently. I was just like, you know what? Let's give it a try. Let's see where this is going for All In. And I like it. I like the first issue. It's just the question as like the sheriff of the watchtower and like, oh no, someone's trying to frame them. Where are we going with this? Interesting team, which includes Blue Beetle.
Yes.
And others. So
yeah,
good stuff. Good stuff. And then, of course, as we approach the holidays, Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns #1 drop. They were like, here you go. It's another Batman Santa Claus. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Please and thank you. Happy to have it. Jeff Parker, Lucas Kettner, and happy to have this back. I love the fact that Santa's here. I don't know how other people feel about it, but like I love it. I love the fact that it's just like it just happens once a year. It's just in this book.
Yeah.
Technically.
And it comes out on time every time.
Technically in canon.
Right. Exactly.
That Batman studied with Santa, but like still good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. What else you got?
Oh, well, Batman and Robin Year One came out. I mean, people have been clamoring for a Mark Waid, Chris Samnee reteam to do anything. And I think, I mean, you could do worse than a Batman Robin team up, especially given that, like, you know, the Batman Superman World's Finest book was basically a Batman Robin and Superman team up book, but with Samnee on the creative team, and you know it's going to be a you know, just a really special thing. And it's a really special comic book that I enjoy every time. And it's interesting because, you know, I think Waid doesn't have a very strong entry point for Batman, and he finds it through Dick Grayson. And that is not how everyone does it. And I think it's really special and cool. And I think it's really a successful book. And but I think it's also overshadowed by so many different seminal books that are dropping this year, or at least had dropped this year. In the indie front, the only other really like indie book that I read a lot of was a book that I heard. I was like, oh, Daniel Warren Johnson's doing another book. Well, I guess I'll have to buy it. This time teamed up with Riley Rossimo to do a lot of the pencil duties, and that is The Moon is Following Us, which was a great series. It is a great series. Launched this year, will end probably next year. You know, it's a little girl is taken in the dream world. Her parents are going after her, and all of her subconscious heroes and characters that she plays with as a child are at her disposal to assist them in her in her resurrection. It's a really interesting series that is I think the combination of Warren Johnson and Riley Rossimo doing art sharing allows the book to come out on time.
Sure. And
gives Daniel Warren Johnson the time he demands. It's a good book that I do enjoy. And there's another book that we talked about the second issue of recently. That is that I already talked about last week, but I'll mention it again. Tom King's Black Canary Best the Best dropped, and he's been teasing this book, teeing up this series forever. He loves this book and this concept, and I'm here for it. It's a really good looking book that also is about something that is near and dear to King, and I think it is an excellent series. Well, at least I think it's a good debut.
Yes,
let's put it that way.
That's fair. And then I think one of our last big like new books of the year dropped right at the end of the year.
Yeah.
With New Gods, #1 dropping. Ram V and Jorge Fornes on this book.
Yes.
Sal had a chance to talk with Ram at New York Comic Con about this book.
That's
so
right.
He and I both had an idea of
what to expect.
And any of you who watched the interview knew what to expect from this book. But having an understanding from the writer and creators of the book, and then actually having the book is two different things. And this book is very much a very approachable entry into the New Gods. Like, if you have no history with the New Gods,
you're fine.
You're fine. You can grab this book. Ram's gonna help you out. He's gonna take care of you. Don't worry about it. So yeah, I was surprised at how much I was like, wow. Like I knew I was probably gonna enjoy it, but I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And the art's great. Jorge Fornes is really doing phenomenal work in that book.
Yeah.
But yeah, Orion sucks.
Oh my God. I love all of it. It's great.
Yeah, so good. So good. So yeah, I know we've got some super chats to chat about.
Yes.
And by the way, this is not every book that came
definitive.
out. This is not every like first issue of a book. These are some of the books that got us excited this year.
These are the books that we wanted to highlight that came out this year.
Yes.
There are a lot of first issues that I couldn't care less about.
But we're basically at 2 hours at this point. So
Lexa Power, thank you very much. Happy New Year, ComicPop. My book of the year is Ultimate Spider-Man. It's both brilliant with storytelling while also being cozy with its dialogue and family dynamics. I can't wait for more issues. Me too, Lex. I love it.
I'll read this one because I figure when we go back
Why
and
not?
forth. Noah says, hey guys, not really talking about best of the year, but Tiffany's thoughts on question number 2. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, sorry. MN&M says, Happy New Year. Some great underrated books were Miracle Man, The Silver Age, Aaron's Turtles, Johnson and Klein's Incredible Hulk, Satana Bring Down the House, and Batman Dark Age. Good time for comics. I agree. It's a great time for comics.
That is when I was making my list up, I was like, 2024 was great.
Yeah, great year.
Great for comics. Loved so many books that came out this year.
And like top tier. It wasn't just like, oh, this is like a good book just for me. These are like really, really good.
Just great stuff. And honestly, like every month, like even if a series had wrapped up, there was a new book I was equally excited about.
It wasn't like, well, I guess I'm out of comics for the next year.
Yeah, or like, I guess I'll just read these things, but I'm not enjoying it as much. There was always a book that had come out that I was super excited for.
True.
In fact, so much so that sometimes there were too many books I was excited for.
Which is a problem.
Josh Wollabau says this year's Batman Santa Claus was perfect. Well, I don't know if you're talking about the newest book, I agree. Or if you're talking about our back issues, thank you so much.
Hulkzilla, Happy New Year, everyone. Well, Happy New Year to you, Hulkzilla. Thank you so much.
Kablooey says support.
Thank you very much, Kablooey. We appreciate it, man. Kevin says, I found y'all at 19. I'm 29 today. Thanks for seeing me through my 20s. Love you. Thank you very much, Kevin. We love you too.
Man, that's amazing.
10 years.
For sticking with us.
10 years of ComicPop.
Dope. Thank you so much. Thank you. And here's to many more years.
I agree.
Oh, is it me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Curative Writer says, despite it only being 3 issues so far, my top has to be Absolute Wonder Woman. Totally rad. As I read that book, I just have the 2017 Wonder Woman theme in my head. 100%. That's
great
like the theme for her.
Oh, absolutely.
Forever.
That is such a good theme.
Tina Guo, man.
Yeah, get more Tina Guo in there. Lenny Laserdisc says, thank you for all the streams and the videos. It got me through a lot of assignments. I earned my bachelor degree this past week. Well, congratulations. My favorite book this year was Williams and Superman. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Congratulations to you.
On the
welcome to the real world, man. Sorry. And yeah, I'm sure Josh would appreciate that.
Andrew Forster. Yeah. Last chance of the year to support my favorite creators. Sal, special congrats on your newest writing credit. Happy New Year's, guys. Ethan and Ben too. We'll hopefully be seeing them in a little bit.
That's right.
In about 30 minutes.
Oh, shit. A Secret Boss. Happy New Year from Japan. A lot of great comics last year. Hoping that Hickman's Imperial will be great. We're also very I mean, I have no reason to expect Hickman's Imperial won't be great.
Yeah. Hopefully so.
Yeah. Rayumbo
says, Happy New Year's and ComicPop. Woo! Y'all are a big part of my week all year. So cheers to ComicPop and Sal. Sal heads, and the Sal heads in 2025. P.S. Absolute Batman. I love Sal heads. I love salads.
Salads, I like that too.
I love it all.
Tate Sheldon, Happy New Year. Lots of great books came out this year, but Tom Sicoli's Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater came out of nowhere to be my pick. It's got a fun Silver Age sci-fi vibe that I really like.
Love that.
I love that too, man.
Z-Berm coming in saying, I want to shout out I Lie Popeye is a shonen-esque take on Popeye and his world with gorgeous art. Another favorite book is Hyde Street, which is easily the best of John's written Ghost Machine books.
Interesting.
You know what's funny is I didn't jump in on that book just because I was like, I don't know if I want to get into Ghost Machine right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Samuel Summers says, I feel bad because I'm not liking Ultimate Spider-Man's pace. I have bought all 12 issues. If nothing happens in 13, I'll have to stop.
Fair.
I feel like the next arc is actually like an arc where he's going to be dealing with Kraven, but I think you're probably going to be dropping the book because it's going to be the same tone.
Cat Laura will defend for treats saying, to end my year with special off the rack and then start the next one with back issues. ComicPop is the best YouTube, and you two are folks of the year.
Oh,
You're very kind, Cat Laura.
Thank
you so much for being with us, and I hope you have a great start to your new year.
Samuel Summers, I would love to get a signed Terminator comic. Well, we actually managed to give out a couple of those. Not give them out, but we did a signing at Zap Comics, which is a huge moment in the year for me. And we got to do that. New York Comic Con, I signed quite a few issues of Terminator, which I was really happy to do.
Maybe we'll do another giveaway in 2025.
I think we should. Yeah.
The Deconaton said, love meeting you guys at NYCC. Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year to you too. And thanks for saying hello.
Yeah, we really appreciate you saying hi and coming by. Pop Culture Guy 3000. Sorry I'm not here often anymore, especially if you've been asked this question before. What did you think of the Netflix Terminator anime, Sal? I dug it. I dug it quite a bit. We watched the whole thing, and I did appreciate it. I liked that they stuck with the lore, like they stuck with the time period, that they were like, no, this is the year that Judgment Day happens. I don't care if it's like, far past 1999 now. We're still going to do this. It was good.
Okay, absolutely. Rami Darwish says, great bonus episode, guys. Wish you and wish everyone a happy new year.
Happy New Year
thank you so much.
man.
Happy New Year.
Alexandre de Bon Brossard says, happy New Year, Sal and Tiff. Thank you for doing Sinner Takes All. Sorry it didn't do well. Best comic I read in 2020 was World's Finest 30. Worst, a friend let me count down. Lives up to its reputation. I agree. No, and I will say that Sinner Takes All did eventually catch up to itself, so I'm happy to say it worked out. Don't worry, I always wanted to do Sinner Takes All. So it wasn't just because you reminded me. It was a book that was always going to be on the docket, so I appreciate that. And we got a great drawing out of it, thanks to Tenchi.
Absolutely. RK says, happy New Year. My BF has been loving the question mini. Renee is a great character that definitely deserves more of a spotlight. Absolute Wonder Woman is probably my fave for 2024, but the last Halloween has been
great.
Thank
I agree. I agree. It has been great. I've been enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled with the art every time, but I still like the story. Disgruntled Dev says, I don't think I can pick a book of the year, but it might be Absolute Batman.
Yeah, we made a promise of that, and I'm really struggling right now.
Me too.
Green Gesture says, happy New Year from Australia. This is my first time seeing you live. Hooray!
Glad we could have you join us, man. Welcome to the show. Good day to you. Jay Sage, thanks for the nonstop memories and happy New Year. Happy New Year to you.
The time has come.
The time has come for us to determine what the best book of the year is.
It's really hard.
Yeah, it is.
Like, as we were talking about it, it's like this is an impossibility.
I know. There's so many different contenders we could go with because I feel like there are a lot of fantastic books. DC All In Special deserves some accolades. We did a whole back issues on it, so it's not going to win because you got a whole episode of another show based on that.
Right.
But there are so many fantastic series. I want to appreciate all those Bat books. Dark Age, Werewolf, or Batman, Werewolf, Blood Moon, Year One. There's a lot of great books. But I think for me, it actually does have to go down to the cover books. I know for you, I think I could guess yours. I think I want to give it to Ultimate Spider-Man because, and here's why. Ultimate Spider-Man is unapologetically itself.
Yeah.
And it is being what it wants and needs to be.
Yeah.
While also sticking it to those who seek to prevent what it is doing and what it is.
Okay.
Whereas Absolute Batman is also unapologetically, is overly enthusiastically itself. They both, all the strengths that I can levy to both of them, they earn and have. Absolute Batman and Ultimate Spider-Man are both mature but have a great energy, while also being the tent pole of their entire universes and line. I am disappointed in Ultimate Spider-Man for the art shifts that have occurred and the fact that its pacing is inevitably going to lose more readers than it brings in. But Absolute Batman is not without its faults as well. Absolute Batman is overstuffed. It has a lot going on in it where, there are 12 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man and 3 issues of Absolute Batman. Is it fair to compare them? Yes, because they are their respective tentpoles, and they are done by seasoned creators and veterans of the industry who can tell you and telegraph what's going to happen, or what you can expect from the series going forward. Whereas Ultimate Spider-Man, I have no idea what to expect from issue 13 or issue 14, or when I was reading issue 6, issue 7. I had no idea what to expect from every single issue. It always kept me guessing. Absolute Batman also keeps me guessing, but in a different way. It is hard to tell which one deserves the best. And I honestly don't necessarily even know what the best might be for me. But I think I have to give it to Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ooh, okay.
And I think it has everything to do with the mystery.
Okay.
Not the mystery like it's a Sherlock Holmes story, but I think it's the fact that I can't tell what's going to happen. I can't tell what's going to happen with Absolute Batman, but Absolute Batman will get another shot to win some kind of a distinction.
Yeah.
But Ultimate Spider-Man is also the thing. Like, how dare I not say the Ultimate Spider-Man is the best book of the year when I've been asking for everything that Ultimate Spider-Man has been delivering for the last 10 years?
Completely fair. Yeah. Let's just end the show. I'm not picking.
I mean, like Power Fantasy.
I have to pick, right?
Can you say indie versus like big two?
I don't know. I don't think I'm allowed to do that. We said it was just the best.
I think I know exactly what book you should give it to.
It's the Terminator.
It is not Terminator. It is absolutely not. But I do appreciate that it gets an honorable mention.
All right.
Well, but I know exactly what book it should be. Let's see what you say.
Hang on. Okay. Yeah. Write it down somewhere now. So I am torn because listen, Absolute Wonder Woman is like directly out of my brain, 100%. I think it's a fantastic book. I love it. Love it. Power Fantasy, though, is the type of book that showed up and made me fall in love with this world I don't know whatsoever. And I literally can't wait to know more about it. And I love the characters. I love the art. I love the strength of the storytelling. But I mean, listen, every book I mentioned, I really enjoyed. But I think we all know it's Helen of Windhorn. No, I loved Helen of Windhorn. I did. I wanted to see another collaboration between those two creators.
Yes.
I wanted to see a collaboration between Helen and between Bilquis and between
King.
Tom. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's John Constantine, Hellblazer Dead in America. I think that's my book of the year, 1000%. It's definitely. Did you write it down?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Your pins are at the top.
Yeah.
So why though? Like, why is that my call for book of the year? Because of the fact that if Sal, there it is. If Sal is like, I have to give it to the book that like I asked for.
Yeah.
I wanted this so badly. I wanted these two back, and it's rare in my experience with having something that you love and then wanting more and then getting that more, that it is as good as the original. Typically there's something that doesn't, like, it's lost its magic in some way. No pun intended. This book didn't. This book came back as strong as the first series. It brought us something a little different in terms of our location. But it was from beginning to end like perfection for me in every element of it, in the way in which John deals with what he's going through, in the supporting characters that Cy chose to give us, in Campbell's incredible art that he provided. Like the journey of the art throughout this book is absolutely incredible, and to have it end within 2024, have it start and end, and have the ending be perfect. It is for me it is a perfect Constantine ending. It has to be John Constantine, Hellblazer, Dead in America. That is my
I knew
book.
It was going to be or if it wasn't, it had to be, because it's one of those things where it's like there are more universes in our multiverse that book doesn't exist in. Where it's just the funding wasn't there, or Cy got like or Krakoa kept going and Cy had to do that. Like
100%.
There are too many things that prevented that book from happening.
No, for sure. But like to have it come back and have it be like as good is unbelievable to me.
It's true.
So I'm so thrilled with this book. Again, like you said, there'll be an opportunity for me to give more praise to Power Fantasy
and Absolute Wonder Woman
and
Helen of Windhorn,
and Helen of Windhorn,
because I think there's going to be a sequel. I don't know if I could tell them. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. But I've heard rumors.
If there was, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Or Hunger and like there's just so many books that I'm like, I loved. Like this was such a good year for comics.
It was
like,
and
I love
not just for us, but for everyone, because like there were also record sales. There are people arguing about whether Ninja Turtles was the #1 book, or Absolute Batman was the #1 book, or Ultimate Spider-Man was the #1 book. What a great embarrassment of riches we have, where where at least 3 books are the #1 selling book of the year. I actually have exciting not news, but rather like Ninja Turtles got a write-up in Rolling Stone magazine today.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
This is what they should
be.
Team. I know. These are what people in comics should be pushing. Is the fact that like, hey, look, a mainstream outlet is talking about the comic. Hey, look, like I don't think Rolling Stone did an article about Ultimate Spider-Man or Absolute Batman for that matter. But Turtles?
Yeah.
You know, opportunities abound for greatness and for sales and for audiences who are hungry for a great story. We can't wait to see what 2025 brings in comic
100%.
books, and I can't wait to see what we can contribute to the industry in any way in 2025 as well. But I can tell you this, we'll be here talking about it here on this show on youtube.com/ComicPop Returns. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you to our super chatters for sponsoring today's show and bringing your thoughts. We're going to wrap up with that. But before we go, I wanted to say thank you to all of you for making this show possible, for making this channel possible, for making this career possible. Thank you especially to those of you who pre-ordered Terminator issues 1 through 5 and put that on lists and gave people the opportunity to read it. That's all I've ever wanted, is for people to enjoy what I create in some way. I've never imagined I could contribute to Terminator, one of my favorite stories and concepts of all time. I'm so grateful and so embarrassed to be part of that. Thank you all. Jumping into this really quick, let's see here. Pop Culture Guy 3000 says, favorite books of the year: NYX, Exceptional X-Men, Batman Dark Age, and Absolute Wonder Woman.
Oh, Carlitos, help me out.
Figueroa.
Thank you. Happy New Year, guys. Mine is an old one, but I had it recently since July, and that's All-Star Superman. Oh, nice.
Good find. Good.
Hey, that's okay. That could be it could be your book of the year.
Easily.
100%.
Yeah.
That book's evergreen.
Exactly.
That book's evergreen.
Exactly.
100%.
But thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Tiffany, for being an amazing resource and a fantastic co-host every single year, but especially in this year, and for giving us your insight and your thoughts. You worked very hard on your list, and I do really appreciate it. And you spearheaded this whole concept. We wouldn't have done this episode were it not for your influence. Jesus Rodriguez Badel says letters page 2025. 2025 will have more time. We do have letters pages. I lost an episode that we've shot last year.
Sad about that.
I'm really bummed. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't want to lose that, and we did. I didn't know what happened, but it's what happens when I have like 1,000 different files all at once, and I'm doing it all at once. But I do apologize for that. But we will catch up with letters page again at some point in the future.
Yes.
We need to figure out like another way to do it. I don't know how. I think the way people like it is the way it has been done. So it's probably the only way we can do it, but it makes it harder to achieve those shows. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time with another episode here on this channel. And of course on youtube.com/ComicPop and on youtube.com @ComicPop Plays and twitch.tv/ComicPop. A lot of Comic Pop out there. All links for everything you might be interested in are in the description below every video we make. So I advise you to go on a little web quest and search down those descriptions of every video we make and click all those links because they do help. We'll see you guys next time with another episode. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody, and have a great Happy New Year.